multiple worlds collecting cards from Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1 Morning Sky. Konoha. In a somewhat dilapidated small courtyard, under a dying tree, Chen Tian slowly put away the shuriken in his hand, looking at the passers-by outside the courtyard in a hurry, and with sad faces, and sighed. It has been 10 days since I came to this world. That's right. Chen Tian is a time traveler, and he has a system. A system called card picking, which can randomly pick up attribute cards dropped by others from others. The stronger the person, the higher the level of the card that can be picked up, and the higher the attribute Chen Tian gets. From strength cards, to speed cards, to ninjutsu cards, etc. The attributes of the picked cards are all kinds of strange. From low to high levels, there are white cards, blue cards, purple cards, red cards and gold cards. Gold is the highest level card. It's a pity. After activating the system for 10 days, not only did Chen Tian not see the shadow of the gold card, but he has not even picked up any cards so far. The reason is that the day he traveled through time was exactly the day when the Third Ninja World War ended. His parents had died in the war, leaving only Chen Tian, who was only 5 years old. The panic from the time travel and the confusion about the future made Chen Tian dare not leave the courtyard. As a result, he had not seen anyone in the past 10 days, and naturally there were no cards for him to pick up. It's about time. After taking a look at the sky, Chen Tian changed into black clothes and went to the cemetery of Konoha. Today is a day when the heroes who died on the battlefield enter the cemetery, and everyone will go to participate. Walking on the road, looking at the sad and heartbroken passers-by on the lonely streets, Chen Tian has a better understanding of the cruelty of this world. Just one war, Konoha has thousands of families broken. Some children became orphans like him, and some mothers lost their husbands and children. That's right, at the end of the Third World War, Konoha had already started sending children to the battlefield. I must become strong enough to control my own destiny. While secretly swearing in his heart, Chen Tian came to the cemetery and looked up. The leader was the third generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was still in his prime. Then he swept them row by row, including the pale-faced Orochimaru, the gentle-faced Minato Namikaze and others. However, they all looked sad at this time, standing quietly in front of the memorial. Seeing that no one noticed his little child, Chen Tian found a corner and stood there casually. Although the parents of this body were also on the memorial, Chen Tian was not very sad, because he had never seen the parents of this body. Even because of the war, the original owner had not seen his parents many times. Even if Chen Tian searched all his memories, he only knew that his parents came back once a year at most. If he hadn't hired an ordinary person to take care of him, the original owner might have starved to death before he crossed over. But after learning that his parents died in the war, the nanny left on her own. The original owner couldn't bear the blow and was exhausted, so he let Chen Tian cross over. But although there was no emotion, he still had to pay tribute to the deceased. Just as Chen Tian was thinking about it, he suddenly saw a white card under the feet of the person in front of him. It looked about the same size as a playing card, but it was covered with a milky white light, which looked very beautiful. When Chen Tian wanted to explore the content on the card, he found that he could not see anything. Chen Tian did not recognize the ninja in front of him, but judging from his clothes, he was obviously a genin of the Uchiha clan. After hesitating for a while, Chen Tian still could not resist the temptation of the card. He pretended to show a sad expression and slowly squatted down. There was no way. After all, this was the first time he saw a card. No one knew how long the card would last. It would be bad if it disappeared. Most of the people present were ninjas, so Chen Tian's actions naturally did not escape their sight. But when they saw that it was just a 5-year-old child who lost his composure because of sadness, they did not care too much. On the contrary, when Minato Namikaze, who had a sunny face, saw Chen Tian, his expression suddenly dimmed. But Chen Tian naturally did not see this scene. He was slowly reaching his claws towards the white card at this time. Because the distance was very close, Chen Tian easily put the card into his pocket. Then he rubbed his eyes, stood up again with a look of trying to suppress his sadness. Randomly placing his eyes on a tombstone, Chen Tian could not wait to observe this white card in his mind. During this period, he got up early and went to bed late every day and trained his body crazily, but there was no effect. Facts have proved that his talent is very ordinary and the system is the only way for him to become stronger. Ding, white card is strength attribute +1, do you want to absorb it? Absorb. Then, a warm current flowed into the body. The comfort made Chen Tian narrow his eyes slightly. He could clearly feel that his physical strength had increased a lot. Call up the physical attribute panel. Host, Chen Tian strength. 5 speed. 4 constitution. 4 spirit. 22 skill, shuriken basic LV1. PS, all 4 items of ordinary adults are 10. After taking the physical panel into his eyes, Chen Tian looked away. Except for the spirit attribute because of the time travel, the other attributes are pitifully low. The skill is only the shuriken basics that he just learned in the past 10 days. Chen Tian was just in a daze, but in the eyes of everyone, it was obvious that this child could not bear the huge blow and was sluggish. Seeing this scene, Minato Namikaze gritted his teeth and whispered to Kushina Uzumaki beside him, Kushina, that is a child of Izumi and Hepping, I want to adopt him. Chenping and Crossing Quan are Chen Tian's parents. They are also from civilian backgrounds and are neighbors with Minato Namikaze. It can be said that they grew up together. However, later because of Minato Namikaze's extraordinary talent, he was accepted as a disciple by Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas, and then they gradually drifted apart. However, in this war, Chenping and Crossing Quan, who were special ninjas, were once again assigned to Minato Namikaze. It's a pity that both of them died on the battlefield and could not come back alive. Okay, when this is over, we will go to find the 3rd generation. Kushina just glanced at Chen Tian and agreed without hesitation. She was also familiar with Chen Tian's mother Crossing Quan, and she and Crossing Quan could be called best friends. As the Ninetales Jinchuriki, she couldn't leave Konoha at all. So when Zinquan didn't have mission, they always went shopping together. But after the war started, they hardly met each other. Looking at Chen Tian's absent-minded expression at this time, Kushina's maternal brilliance in her heart could not be suppressed at all. Chen Tian naturally didn't know that his future fate had been decided by someone, and he was still looking around, trying to find other cards. Unfortunately, there was no harvest for the time being. As long as the leaves are flying, the will of fire will not be extinguished. After Sarutobi Hiruzen's long speech, everyone dispersed, and Chen Tian also walked towards his own nest. This house with a courtyard was the only thing his parents left him. I can't train on my own, and I don't know how to extract chakra. It seems that I have to go out for a walk later to see if I can pick up anything good. In addition, it would be best to be able to enter the ninja school, where there are so many classmates and teachers whose attributes can be picked up. On the way home, Chen Tian began to plan for his future. He was just an ordinary orphan, and it was impossible for him to come into contact with powerful ninjas. Therefore, the ninja school is the best choice, which can allow him to develop steadily and become stronger slowly. But for an orphan, it is not so easy to enter the ninja school, and you must think of a way. In this way, Chen Tian slowly approached his little house while thinking. Chapter 2 Golden Card. Creaky. Pushing the door open, Chen Tian noticed something unusual the moment he was about to enter. His right hand reached for the ninja bag on his waist, which contained his only weapon, a shuriken. His heart sank. He was just an ordinary child, and now he was an orphan. Who on earth would come to find him? Especially at this critical moment, when the Third World War was about to end, Chen Tian couldn't help but think about it. Don't be nervous, I'm your father's friend. Before Chen Tian could continue to move, a gentle voice sounded in the courtyard. Chen Tian looked closely and saw Minato Namikaze with yellow hair and a smile looking at him. Next to Minato Namikaze was Kushina Uzumaki with red hair on her shoulders. Chen Tian immediately felt relieved. If it was these two people, although he didn't know why they were looking for him, it shouldn't be dangerous. Meet Minato Jonin and Kushina Jonin. What do you want to see me about? Chen Tian saluted the two respectfully. In this ninja world, the only rule to save your life when you are weak is to never try to provoke someone you can't afford to offend. After all, not everyone is Uchiha Sasuke, who can live so comfortably after arguing with the sky, the earth and the air. Chen doesn't have a brother like Uchiha Itachi, let alone the identity of the son of the Six Paths Sage. As ninjas, Minato and Kushina naturally noticed Chen's little movements. "You look like you know us?" Kushina squatted down, and her two white jade-like slender hands kept rubbing Chen's little face. She had no doubts about Chen in her heart, but just took this opportunity to rub Chen. Although Chen was young, his delicate face and the height of barely 1 meter made Kushina unable to take her eyes away. Chen was shocked at first when he heard this, but he calmed down after noticing Kushina's actions. Then he glanced at Minato Namikaze again. Although he was sunny, he was not as thick-skinned as Kushina. Maybe he doubted himself because of this matter. "I don't think it sounds good." Because his little face was constantly deformed in Kushina's clutches, Chen's words were vague. "Speak human language." Kushina, who didn't understand, was stunned for a moment, and then rubbed more wantonly. Looking at her angry expression, she obviously thought Chen was deliberately playing a trick on her. Ahem. Kushina, Chen said that his parents told him, let him go first. Looking at the increasing black lines on Chen's forehead, Minato Namikaze covered his forehead with one hand and said awkwardly. Only then did Kushina react and reluctantly let go of Chen's little face. Noticing that his cheeks had begun to numb, Chen glared at Kushina unhappily. But he also knew that Kushina was such a tough girl, so he was not angry. Then he put his eyes back on Minato Namikaze, waiting for his answer. "It's like this. Kushina and I want to take you back to live together, and we have obtained the consent of the third generation." Namikaze Minato stepped forward, touched Chen's ink black hair, and said gently. At the same time, he kept paying attention to Chen's expression, fearing that Chen would refuse. He didn't save his friends on the battlefield. If he couldn't give their children a better life, Minato couldn't face his heart. But he saw that when he was talking, Chen's eyes suddenly lit up, and he felt much more at ease. Without waiting for Chen's answer, he immediately said, "See if there is anything you want to take away. Kushina and I will wait for you here." After saying that, he gently pushed Chen into the house. But these words made Chen confused. He just saw a highest level golden card falling from Namikaze Minato. How could he agree to you? Yes, just when Minato took a step forward, Chen saw a golden card falling from him, so he was a little dazed. This is a golden card, the highest level card in the system. The golden card that fell from Minato Namikaze. What this card represents, Chen knew it very well. It must be, and it can only be the Flying Thunder God technique. At the moment, he didn't care about anything else, just adopt it. The card is the most important. So he followed Minato's power and threw it over to the place where the card was. The moment he landed, he had already put the card into his bag. Seeing this, Kushina came to Chen in an instant, helped him up, and asked, "Are you okay?" "It's okay, it's okay. I accidentally fell. I'll go and clean it up." Chen waved his hands repeatedly, and then hurriedly ran into the house. The golden card is already in hand. There is no time to be pretentious here. Going back to the house to check is the most important thing. Back in the house, Chen can still hear Kushina's roar and Minato's begging for mercy. Thinking that it was just the first time they met, Minato took the blame and was cleaned up by Kushina. Chen's little face showed a smile. Although he said he was packing, there was nothing to take, only his own clothes. As for the other things, they were all in a storage scroll, and Chen only needed to take the scroll. With the consciousness of an adult, Chen, who had read the original Naruto, knew very well that it would not be long before the third Hokage would throw him into an orphanage and confiscate his house and other financial assets. Now following Minato and Kushina is also a very good choice, which is much better than going to an orphanage. At least he can take away the wealth left by his parents. Adhering to the principle of not letting the black-hearted old man get away with it, Chen implemented the strategy of plucking the feathers of the passing geese, and did not even leave a grain of rice. From the original book, he disliked the third Hokage very much. Among all the Hokage, He was the weakest, and he shamelessly gave himself the title of the strongest Hokage. For the position of a broken village chief, he implemented all kinds of conspiracies and intrigues, and every day he didn't think about strengthening Konoha, but only knew how to harm Zangliang. If you have that time, wouldn't it be better for you to find a way to open up a financial path for Konoha and let Konoha get rid of the control of the daimyo? That's fine, but the problem is that you put all the blame on Danzo, while you yourself have been through a lot of flowers without getting a single leaf on you. You are completely shameless. Although he thought so, Chen Tian would never say it out loud. There was no way, because this shameless old thief lived the longest. After saying it out loud, Chen Tian felt that he would not live past the next day. After cleaning up, Chen Tian opened the system. Although Minato and Kushina did not follow in with their strength, they would definitely be able to detect his behavior. So after cleaning up, he stopped because he was reluctant, which was the best reason. Ding, the gold card is the primary space talent. Do you want to absorb it? Absorb. Although Chen Tian was a little confused because it was different from his guess, he still absorbed it. Just like when he absorbed the power card before, a warm current kept flowing in his body. The only difference is that this warm current is much larger than before. After the absorption was over, Chen Tian clenched his fists hard, but there was no improvement. His system was completely without intelligence, so Chen Tian could only slowly explore it himself. Call up the system panel. Host, Chen Tian strength. 5 speed. 4 constitution. 4 spirit. 22 talent, space talent LV3. Skill, Shuriken basic LV1. All attributes have not changed, except for the addition of a space talent. The moment he saw this talent, Chen Tian knew why he was a gold card. Because this means that he can practice all space attribute ninjutsu in the future, and the representative of them is Flying Thunder God technique. In excitement, Chen Tian curled his lips a little greedily. The lowest level is LV1 and the highest is LV9. This talent is only LV3, which is not powerful enough. Namikaze Minato, you are rubbish. After picking up the card, his space talent is completely equal to Minato, so Chen Tian couldn't help but sigh. Chapter 3 Pulling the Nine-Tailed Fox's Fur. Time is like running water, passing by quietly. Unconsciously, Chen Tian has spent 2 months with Minato and Kushina. Because of Minato and Kushina's care, Chen Tian's heart gradually calmed down, and he was no longer as panicked as before. So gradually, he slowly revealed his original character. During these 2 months, Chen Tian never gave up his training, but worked harder. Therefore, even if he didn't pick up any cards, his strength has grown a little. Host, Chen Tian strength. 6 speed. 5 physique. 5 spirit. 22 chakra. 5 talent, space talent LV3. Skills, Shuriken basic LV2, basic taijutsu LV1, chakra extraction technique LV1. Seeing that his strength, speed, and physique have each improved a little, Chen Tian is very satisfied, and a cute smile appears at the corner of his mouth. The basic taijutsu was taught to him by Minato Namikaze, and he is just getting started. As for the chakra extraction technique, it was something that Chen Tian's father left him. It was because he learned the chakra extraction technique that he had chakra. During this period of time, he also figured out that the chakra in the system refers to the reserve, not the existing chakra. Chakra 5 is like a cup. It is 5 regardless of whether there is water in it. When the chakra in the system increases, it is to expand the cup and make it more capacious. Zio Chen, it's time to eat. Just then, Kushina's voice sounded in the room, and at the same time, there was an intense smell of rice. I know, I'll come right away. Before the words fell, Chen Tian walked towards the room with his short legs. There is no need to see or ask, just by the smell of rice, you know that this is Minato's work. Although Kushina's cooking skills are not bad, she has no talent, and has always stayed at a good level. I'm starting. After washing his hands quickly, Chen Tian started to eat. Minato and Kushina smiled at each other and also started to eat. It is worth mentioning that, although Chen Tian was adopted, he was not the son of Minato and Kushina, but his younger brother. This was the result that Chen Tian got after he argued with reason. Pa. The sound of dishes and chopsticks falling to the ground suddenly sounded. Chen Tian looked up and found that a layer of red mist appeared around Kushina's body. Kushina closed her eyes and moved her fingers. Minato appeared in front of Kushina at the first time, put his right hand on Kushina's lower abdomen, and a very complicated seal appeared on Kushina's lower abdomen. Nine-tailed chakra. This sentence appeared in Chen Tian's heart at the first time. However, after seeing the actions of Minato and Kushina, he was no longer anxious. Although the nine-tailed is powerful, it is impossible for it to break free from Kushina's control, not to mention the help of Minato. But as he watched, Chen Tian found something wrong. He seemed to sense a space, and there was no obstruction in this space. As long as he took a light step, he could enter this space. Thinking so, Chen Tian did it. The moment he stepped on the ground, he felt as if he had passed through a layer of water, which made it difficult for him to open his eyes. So he didn't see that there was a card emitting purple light under his feet, which was ruthlessly stepped on by him. When he opened his eyes, he saw three confused faces, which were Minato, Kushina and Kyuubi. How did you get in? In an instant, Minato appeared in front of Chen Tian and protected Chen Tian behind him. It was not until this time that Kushina and Kyuubi reacted. Kushina also came to Chen Tian, while Kyuubi snorted proudly in the cage, but also pricked up his ears to eavesdrop. I don't know, I just suddenly felt that there was a space, and then I came in. Chen Tian was also very confused, not knowing how he entered the space inside Kushina's body. Instead, Minato's eyes flashed, and he asked, Zaira-chan, are you saying that you felt a space, and then you came in when you wanted to? Yes. Chen Tian nodded, without any concealment. Hearing this, Minato's eyes shone brighter, and he said to Kushina, the matter here is over, let's go back and talk. Kushina was stunned, then nodded, and the figure gradually disappeared. Minato also pulled Chen Tian towards the black passage. Before leaving, Chen Tian took a curious look at the Ninetales, but at this moment, he could no longer look away, because there were hundreds of cards of various colors beside the Ninetales, including white, blue, and purple. But the next moment, he and Minato's figures began to dissipate. Coming back to his senses, Chen Tian found that he was still sitting there and had not moved at all. For a moment, he had some guesses in his mind. Since he could lock such a huge monster like the Ninetales in his body, the place where the Ninetales was imprisoned was obviously a space. And the reason why he was able to enter was obviously because of his LV3 space talent. After some discussion, Minato determined that Chen Tian's talent in space was not inferior to his, so he was very happy. He made up his mind to teach Chen Tian the Flying Thunder God technique after he had the strength of a Jonin. But Chen Tian himself didn't know all this. While confirming his talent, he also got some bad news. That is, although he has a spatial talent, he can't enter the space where the Ninetales is imprisoned at will. Only after the Ninetales rioted, he was able to enter. This made him give up the heart of playing with the endless cards around the Ninetales. After dinner, Chen Tian went back to his room alone. During this period, he also paid attention to the situation in the ninja world. The three wars have now completely ended. After that, the major ninja villages licked their wounds secretly and continued to grow and develop. All the things that should have happened, such as Uchiha Obito has died, Minato's voice is also getting higher and higher, etc. This made Chen Tian feel a sense of oppression in his heart. Others don't know, but he knows the future. The big boss Uchiha Obito is already in place, Orochimaru is about to defect, the Ninetales Night is only a few years away, and the Uchiha clan is not far away. Not to mention the chaos after the plot begins. The shadow level has become a weak chicken. Each of these things is not small, and he has no way to intervene with his strength. Originally, it would be fine if he just survived and slowly became stronger, but now that he has Minato and Kushina, Chen Tian wants to protect them, and this requires a strong force to accomplish. Minato is now 21 years old. He became Hokage at the age of 22 and died in the Ninetales Rebellion at the age of 24. That means I must have the strength of a Kage within 3 years. Thinking of this, Chen Tian's head is about to get bigger. Kage level is not so easy to break through. Otherwise how could Sarutobi Hiruzen become the 3rd generation Hokage? After setting the goal, Chen Tian began to make a plan. He is only 5 years old now, and his physical fitness and chakra are the biggest shortcomings, and these two can only be made up by the system. There is only one person in Konoha who is most likely to drop a physical fitness card, and that is my guy. The second is chakra, which must be the most of the tailed beasts, and the Ninetails has even more. So Chen Tian still set his sights on the Ninetails, but the specific plan has to be implemented slowly. As for ninjutsu, it is much simpler. There don't need to be too many people who know it, and you can pick up a lot casually. In addition, he can also learn by himself. Two-pronged approach. Might guy should be at the training ground. While guessing, Chen Tian stopped waiting and ran towards the training ground after saying hello to Kushina. Chapter 4, Jounin Chakra. After leaving home, Chen Tian trotted all the way to the training ground. Now that the war has ended for 2 months, Konoha is still deserted, but it has recovered a lot. At least there are more people on the streets. However, Chen Tian didn't care much about these things, and soon he came to the training ground. Bang, bang, bang. As soon as he arrived at the training ground, he saw his target, a watermelon rind wearing a green tights. But what surprised Chen Tian was that the person who was fighting with the watermelon rind was Hatake Kakashi. Next to the training ground, a girl was watching the battle between Kakashi and my guy. Although his memory was a little fuzzy, Chen Tian still recognized the girl. I didn't expect Nohara to be still alive. In an instant, Chen Tian's mind emerged with 10,000 conspiracies and tricks. Let's do it. Chen Tian, who had no idea about the future, suddenly thought of how to develop in the future. Secretly instigated Obito to rebel, and after saving the people he cared about, try to make the plot develop smoothly. Thinking about the terrifying strength of those people in the later period, and thinking about the cards that might fall at any time, Chen Tian felt that his saliva was about to flow out. But the first thing is to build a good relationship with these 3 people. Tap, tap, tap. A burst of small steps sounded, and Chen Tian came not far from Yuan Yelin, pretending to watch the fight between Kakashi and my guy. But his eyes were on the ground around the two, where many cards were lying quietly. Little brother, are you here to train too? Yuan Yelin noticed Chen Tian's arrival at the first time and asked immediately. But looking at her appearance, Chen Tian always felt that she was a little eager to rub his face with her sinful hands. But after taking a closer look at Yuan Yelin's appearance, Chen Tian felt that it was not wrong to let such a beautiful lady rub it. Yes, my brother said that my guy is a very strong physical ninja, so let me train with him. Chen Tian did not hesitate to put the blame on Minato, without any guilt. Kid, who is your brother? Kakashi and my guy, who had noticed Chen Tian a long time ago, had already finished their fight. When Chen Tian was talking to Yuan Yelin, he appeared behind him. Hearing Kakashi's cold and emotionless voice, Chen Tian knew that Kakashi's heart was now full of darkness. Hey, my brother is Minato Namikaze, your mentor. Chen Tian spread his hands, and under the strange gazes of the 3 people, he came to the place where Kakashi and Might Guy fought, and sat down on the ground. He slapped his hands randomly, and put the cards into his pocket. After he collected them, he was about to get up, when he suddenly found that the sole of his right foot was emitting purple light. He looked down, and found the purple card under his feet, and his face showed an ecstatic expression. Ha 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 ha. Seeing Chen Tian sitting on the ground and laughing, Kakashi and the other 2 looked at each other, their eyes full of pity. Yuan Yelin gently came to Kakashi, pulled his sleeve and asked, Kakashi, this kid is not stupid. Who knows? After replying boringly, Kakashi left first. He also had to ask Minato to see if what the kid said was true. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining a white card, and the PowerPoint increases by 1. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining a blue card, fire style, great fireball technique. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining a blue card, and the speed value increases by 10. A series of prompts sounded, and Chen Tian's various attributes underwent earth-shaking changes. Host, Chen Tian strength. 23 speed. 25 constitution. 19 spirit. 25 chakra. 5 talent, space talent LV3. Skills, shuriken basic LV2, basic physical technique LV3, chakra pulling technique LV1, great fireball technique LV5, Konoha Great Cyclone LV4. The next is the most important. Chen Tian just glanced at it casually, then rubbed his hands, and couldn't wait to click on the purple card. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining a purple card, and the chakra value increases by 1000. Oh my god. Oh my god. Seeing the system prompt, Chen Tian jumped up excitedly. 1000 chakra points is a level of a jonin. I was still worrying about chakra before, but now it has been solved inexplicably. Chen Tian felt that God really gave him a girl, which was so cool. He couldn't wait to appreciate his attribute panel. Host, Chen Tian strength. 23 speed. 25 constitution. 19 spirit. 25 chakra. 1005 talent, space talent LV3. Skills, Shuriken basic LV2, basic physical technique LV3, chakra pulling technique LV1, great fireball technique LV5, Konoha great cyclone LV4. Hehe. Chen Tian, are you okay? Just as Chen Tian was drooling, Might Guy's right hand snapped and fell on Chen Tian's shoulder. This interrupted Chen Tian's fantasy of stepping on Uchiha Madara and beating Otsutsuki Kaguya. It's okay, I came to find you to exercise together. After calming down, Chen Tian said seriously. After saying this, he actually knew what Might Guy would do next. As expected, the next moment Might Guy hugged him like the wind and cried with emotion. Everything here was within Chen Tian's expectations. On the other side, Kakashi also knew Chen Tian's origin. After learning that he was indeed Minato's younger brother, he put aside his doubts. After temporarily gaining Might Guy's trust, Chen Tian has been following him, occasionally picking up the cards dropped by Might Guy. Watching his attributes rise little by little, he felt an indescribable joy in his heart. The only thing that made him a little sad was that the ninja school would start soon. At this time, he didn't want to go to ninja school anymore. Wouldn't it be nice to be with Minato and others every day and pick up high level cards? However, during this period of time, Chen Tian has also figured out how to drop cards. The first way is high intensity exercise, with a very small chance of dropping cards. The second way is fighting, and the chance of dropping cards in battle is very high. The last way is random drop, whether eating or sleeping. There is a 1 in 10,000 chance of dropping cards. That's how the gold card on Minato fell. So if you want to get a lot of cards, you have to fight with others, or watch others fight. But the possibility of Minato, Kushina and others fighting in front of you is not too small. Chen Tian also tried to fight with the two, but the system didn't think it was a fight at all, and not a single blank card fell. Coupled with the strong requests of Minato and Kushina, Chen Tian had no choice but to enter the ninja school. Phew ha ha ha. I can't do it anymore. Do it yourself. With a thump, Chen Tian fell to the ground powerlessly, feeling that his hands no longer belonged to him. When I watched Naruto in my previous life, I thought K was perverted, but I didn't expect him to be so perverted. He started by doing 5,000 push-ups to warm up. Chen Tian's attribute was more than 20 points, but he couldn't do it. After doing 500. 5,000 of your uncle. 5,000. Looking at K, whose expression was still extremely relaxed, Chen Tian endured, and finally couldn't help but said, "You are really a pervert. Hahaha, as long as you keep exercising, you can do it." K grinned and raised his right hand with a thumbs up. The other hand continued to bend and straightened, which made Chen Tian's mouth twitch. Then he summed up his various attributes. Strength increased by 2 points, reaching 25 points. The weakest physique has now broken through 20 and reached 21 points. As for the others, there was no change. Alas, it has only increased by 3 points in total. It's too slow. Chen Tian looked at the sky with lifeless eyes and couldn't help saying, if it weren't for the fact that his physique increased a little by itself during exercise, his physique would only be 20 points now. Chapter 5, Finding a Way to Make Money. While Chen Tian was resting, Might Guy had finished his warm-up and was running around Konoha. Although Guy is only 14 years old this year, he has been a chunin for a long time. If he bursts out with all his strength, his combat power is even stronger than Kakashi. According to Chen Tian's estimation, he is definitely not far from becoming a jonin. These thoughts flashed through Chen Tian's mind. After his physical strength recovered, He patted his clothes and went to Minato's house. Now that the sun is setting and it is already evening, Chen Tian should go home. Otherwise, Kushina will definitely teach him why the flowers are so red. The fourth training ground was originally on the edge of Konoha, far away from the central area. In addition, it was late, and Chen Tian found that there was no one else here except him. TSK. According to the plot of the novel, he should be assassinated at this time. Looking around the woods on both sides, Chen Tian's little eyes were full of expectations. That was the treatment of the protagonist, and he also wanted to try it. Tram. A series of footsteps fell, and Chen Tian was getting farther and farther away from the training ground. 10 more meters away, he would be completely out of the range of the forest. Chen Tian, who had been vigilant, had a look of disappointment in his eyes. Am I really not the protagonist? Chen Tian did not encounter any danger until he returned home, which made Chen Tian feel lost for a while. A leisurely voice came from the forest that Chen Tian left. Are all the children in Konoha so vigilant? Zio-chan, the ninja school will start in a few days. Minato and I have signed you up. Just as he picked up the bowl, Kushina issued a notice. Okay, I know. Seeing Chen Tian like an eggplant hit by frost, Minato couldn't help laughing and immediately started to add insult to injury. Zio-chan, now that the war is over, you must complete 6 years of ninja school before you can graduate. Looking at Minato's expression of trying hard to hold back his smile, Chen Tian was completely helpless. After a few casual remarks, he returned to the bedroom. Are you kidding me to go to ninja school now? Kakashi and others have all graduated, and Uchiha Itachi is just 3 years old. What am I going to do in ninja school? Thinking of this, Chen Tian's eyes were already dull, and he began to lie down. Kakashi, Asuma, Yuhi Kurenai and others were older than him. Because of the war, they had already graduated. The 12 little strongmen were not born yet. During this period, the only famous person in the original work was Uchiha Itachi, but he was just 3 years old and still wearing open crotch pants. This means that all of Chen Tian's classmates are cannon fodder. Fuck you. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. The angrier he thought about it, the angrier he got. He finally couldn't help but swear. Without these geniuses, they are all cannon fodder. What kind of cards am I going to pick up? But there was no way. The rules of Konoha could not be easily changed because of one person, especially when the third Hokage was in power. Besides, Minato and Kushina also wanted Chen Tian to go to school, so he could only obey. No. Chen Tian stood up with a sudden turn, rubbing his chin and muttering, the Night of the Ninetales is in 2 years. I can't just watch Minato and Kushina die. I must find a way. Fight. Without war, I can't leave Konoha. Where will the fight come from? Pa. Suddenly, Chen Tian clapped his hands and said excitedly, got it. Sleep. At that moment, Chen Tian, who was satisfied, fell asleep with a smile. Soon he entered the dream. In the dream, Chen Tian held a lot of money in his hand and held the first Konoha martial arts tournament in the Konoha Square. The first prize was 10 million, which could buy 1/3 of Sarutobi Asuma's head. In order to get this prize and the reputation of Konoha's strongest, the ninjas of the entire Konoha rushed to sign up. Even the Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but participate in this martial arts tournament. Chen Tian was basking in the sun and picking up attributes, and golden cards were burying him like rain. By the time of the final battle, Chen Tian was already invincible in the ninja world, and he defeated Sarutobi Hiruzen and Minato in a one-on-one fight. In the quiet room, Chen Tian, who was dreaming, had a smile on his face and drooled. The next morning, after waking up, Chen Tian ran out to investigate Konoha without even having breakfast. Chapter 6, Endure the Sky. After leaving home, Chen Tian immediately went to the commercial district. Hey, is this the meatball shop that Uchiha Itachi often goes to in the future? Chen Tian rubbed his chin and walked in. After picking and choosing, he walked out of the store with 2 strings of 3-color meatballs in his hand. After taking a bite, he murmured, the taste is just so-so, nothing special. After eating 2 strings of 3-color meatballs in no time, Chen Tian carefully checked. There is a barbecue restaurant, a clothing store, and a casino. Although we have everything, we don't have things like hot pot, and the styles of these clothes are too low. But after touching his pocket, Chen Tian found that his starting capital seemed to be only a mere 100 taels. Looking at the bill hanging on Ichiraku ramen, a bowl of ramen costs 80 taels, and Chen Tian's little face fell immediately. It's just a mere 100 taels. What else can I do besides eating a bowl of ramen? Besides, the ninja school will start in 3 days, and I don't have that much time to do it. Wow. What a cute little brother. Are you hungry standing here? I'll treat you to ramen. Suddenly, a little girl about the same age as Chen Tian walked out of the Ichiraku ramen restaurant and exclaimed at the sad-looking Chen Tian. Although I didn't know this little girl, I knew she was Aim from the look on her face. But as soon as he started to explain, Aim interrupted him and said, "Little brother, don't be shy. Ichiraku ramen is my sister's. I can treat you to ramen. Father, let's treat this little brother to ramen." Aim took Chen Tian a few steps into the store and said to Ichiraku, "Ha ha ha." The still young Ichiraku smiled heartily and agreed, "No problem. I'm not standing at the door of Ichiraku ramen because I'm hungry." It was only at this time that Chen Tian had the opportunity to speak, but Ichiraku had already started, as if there was no need to explain. At most, he would just pay after eating, and he happened to be a little hungry. So Chen Tian stopped worrying and started thinking about his own way to make money. Minato and Kushina adopted him and took care of him in every possible way. Chen Tian didn't have the face to ask them for money. After eating ramen, his pocket money was only 20 taels left, and he could only buy some small items such as paper and pens. After taking a deep breath, Chen Tian made up his mind. Just at this time, Aim also came with a bowl of noodles, waking Chen Tian up. "The noodles are here, please enjoy." After putting down the bowl, Aim hid aside, but her eyes stayed on Chen Tian's face. "This little brother is so cute, I really want to rub his cheeks." No, Aim, how can you have such a rude idea?" Shaking her little head fiercely, Aim turned her head away and stopped looking at Chen Tian. Chen Tian naturally didn't know what this little lolly who was about the same age as him was thinking. In order to start his own business as soon as possible, he finished a bowl of ramen in no time. "I'm full, thank you for the treat." Putting the 80 taels in his hand on the table, Chen Tian thanked a chorus politely and then left quickly. He still had things to do. Is a little lolly as good as small money? Let's talk about it when she grows up to be a big lolly. After leaving Ichiraku ramen, Chen Tian pushed his physique to the limit, bought a pen and a notebook, and just spent all the remaining 20 taels. Alas. Didn't I pay the money too early before? Otherwise, I wouldn't have to be so embarrassed. Touching his empty pockets, Chen Tian couldn't help but sigh. In fact, he still had some money, not much, but 400,000 or 500,000 taels, but he had given it all to Kushina before. Originally, Kushina didn't want it, but under his determination, she kept the money and used it to marry a wife. This caused Chen Tian's current embarrassing situation. But it doesn't matter. I don't have time to do those things anyway, and I don't have anyone I can trust. Shaking his head, Chen Tian threw all these thoughts out of his mind and solemnly picked up the pen in his hand. This is the basis for whether he can make a lot of money, so he can't help but be serious. The 4 words "ninja breaks the sky" appeared on the notebook in front of Chen Tian. That's right, Chen Tian is planning to be a plagiarist and spread the best-selling books in his previous life in this world. He has read Jiraiya's Perseverance Ninja biography at Minato's place, and to be honest, it's really not that good. Even something like this can sell well, so Chen Tian doesn't believe that the hot book in his previous life will fail. Swish, swish, swish. Relying on memories and adaptations, Chen Tian's hands never stopped, and the little man lay there writing furiously. Until Minato came home in the afternoon, Chen Tian was still writing in ecstasy. In the living room, Minato and Kushina discussed it. "I have already obtained the enrollment certificate for Chen Tian. We will send him to school when the ninja school starts." Minato shook the paper instructions in his hand with some pride. However, Chen Tian's chakra is very strong. Isn't it a bit too much to let him go to school? Although he didn't say it clearly, Kushina could fully understand what Minato meant. Kushina smiled lightly and said, "It's okay. Chen Tian also said before that he wanted to go to ninja school. In just a few words, the two decided Chen Tian's fate for the next 6 years. I don't know if Chen Tian would commit suicide in grief and anger after knowing that he missed an opportunity to change his fate. He did say that he wanted to go to ninja school, but that was before he got the purple card of the Nine Tails, not now. But even if he knew, Chen Tian would only be more grateful to Minato and Kushina. Do you really think it is so easy to enter ninja school? The enrollment certificate in Minato's hand is very rare. Otherwise, ninja school would have been overcrowded long ago. How could there be only so few people? Just as they were discussing Chen Tian's affairs, rumors gradually spread in Konoha. With the help of those who are interested, Orochimaru's reputation is getting worse and worse, while Minato's reputation is getting better and better. The situation that was originally expected is no longer happening. Minato has come from behind and even suppressed Orochimaru. Ordinary people don't know what happened, but some smart people know very well that it was unimaginable when this Konoha White Fang Hat Kumo died. In addition, the wife of Hyuga Hisashi, the hostess of Konoha's largest weapons store, and a civilian woman are all pregnant. 3 of Konoha's future 12 little strong men have begun to be born. Of course, they are still about 10 months away from being born. Chen Tian didn't know these things, nor did he care. After an afternoon of hard work, there were more than 20,000 words in his notebook, which was really gratifying. Chapter 7 Extreme Counterattack. The next morning, Chen Tian put aside the book writing for the time being, and went to the 4th practice field after breakfast. It was the time he and Might Guy agreed to exercise. The purpose of making money is to make himself stronger, and he would not put the cart before the horse. Good morning, K. As soon as he arrived at the practice field, Chen Tian saw K, who was already exercising. Then he turned around K, as if nothing had happened, and put all 3 white cards on the ground into his pocket. After doing all this, he clicked on the ground and did push-ups with K. K was already used to Chen Tian's weird behavior, and after a casual greeting, he started exercising silently. System. Call up the system panel. Chen Tian did one-handed push-ups easily, and he checked his own data by the way. Because there were no cards these days, Chen Tian was too lazy to look at them, but he didn't expect that he would be so lucky today, and 3 white cards came directly. Host, Chen Tian Strength. 25 Speed. 25 Constitution. 22 Spirit. 25 Chakra. 1010, Talent, Space Talent LV3. Skills, Shuriken Basic LV2, Basic Taijutsu LV3, Chakra Lifting Technique LV1, Great Fireball Technique LV5, Konoha Great Cyclone LV4. Not bad. My strength and constitution have increased, even my chakra has improved. But I have too few means now. Not to mention that I only have 1 ninjutsu. It's also a great fireball technique that can't burn people to death. It's amazing. During the exercise, time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye Chen Tian completed 500 push-ups, a 5-kilometer long distance run, and 1000 squats. At this time, the sky had darkened. Guessing that Kushina's meal was almost ready, Chen Tian said hello to K. K, I'm leaving first. Okay, I have to go home too. See you tomorrow. As he spoke, K walked upside down to the other side. His home was on the other side of the training ground. Looking at the way K left, Chen Tian couldn't help but sigh. He is so hardworking. No wonder he became so powerful later. Watching the sky getting darker, Chen Tian didn't stop, stepped into the forest, and ran towards home. He had walked this road many times, and was very familiar with it. After the first time, he knew that he was not a protagonist, and he didn't think that someone would assassinate him here. But the slap in the face often comes so quickly. Swish. Not far from the exit, a shuriken with a dark light and sharpness that could be seen at a glance pierced Chen Tian's throat. Puff. The sound of piercing the flesh sounded. At the critical moment, Chen Tian made a dodging move with his extraordinary reaction, and avoided the vital part. So this pierced his shoulder. A childish roar sounded. Chen Tian ignored the pain, kicked the man in the abdomen, and flew backwards. After landing, he left the spot instantly and ran to an open place. Little devil from Konoha, you can actually dodge my attack. Not bad. As if he had made up his mind, the man did not hide his body and appeared in front of Chen Tian openly. With a hooked nose on a donkey face, 2 green bean-like eyes and night clothes. He was not a good person at first glance. He cursed in his heart, but when he said it out loud, it became, "Who are you? From which village?" While talking, Chen Tian's eyes have been observing quietly. This place is too far away from the center of Konoha. Even if there is support, it is impossible for it to come so quickly. As for Minato, it is even more impossible. He doesn't know what's going on here. If it's just like this, it's fine, but the wound on his shoulder is bleeding non-stop. Preliminary estimation, if it continues for another 5 minutes, he will lose too much blood. In 10 minutes, he will bleed to death without anyone else doing anything. Heh, do you think I will tell you? Or are you stalling for time? But if you keep stalling, you will probably be the first one to give up. The man in black showed a trace of disdain, looking at Chen Tian, as if he was looking at a fool. The previous battle made almost no sound, and the possibility of Konoha noticing it was less than 1%. And the little brat in front of him was probably just a student of the ninja school, not even an enemy. In addition to his injuries, the man in black was not panicked at all. Don't the villains in my novels reveal their identities at this time, giving the protagonist time to prepare? Why doesn't this guy play by the rules? Chen Tian complained wildly in his heart, but his heart gradually sank. Because the other party seemed casual, but the position he stood in blocked Chen Tian's escape route. I can almost send you on your way. As soon as the voice fell, the man in black rushed towards Chen Tian at a very fast speed. Although he was not as fast as Kakashi and my guy, he was more than half of their speed. Damn it, let's fight. Gritting his teeth, Chen Tian endured the pain in his shoulder and began to seal. The man in black didn't use ninjutsu because he was afraid that the noise would alert Konoha. Based on his previous performance, Chen Tian estimated that he was an elite chunin and that he would definitely not be able to escape. So now he could only use ninjutsu to make enough noise to attract Konoha's attention and escape. Although the pain in his shoulder continued to affect Chen Tian, the only ninjutsu he knew, the Great Fireball Jutsu, was not difficult. Before the man in black rushed over, Chen Tian still succeeded in making a seal in front of him. Fire style, Great Fireball Jutsu. In the blink of an eye, a basketball-sized fireball spewed out of Chen Tian's mouth and went straight to the man in black. But Chen Tian didn't even look at it and started to make seals with his hands. He couldn't do anything to the man in black just because he had too few ninjutsu. If he really fought with chakra, the man in black would not be a good one at all. It's just a mere Great Fireball Jutsu. I can release 100. Who? One after another, the Great Fireball kept going towards the man in black, forcing the man in black to retreat again and again. Luckily he's not a jonin, or I wouldn't be able to even seal a body flash. After forcing the black-clothed man back, Chen Tian finally breathed a sigh of relief, but his hands didn't stop moving. Boom. Violent explosions sounded one after another. Although not loud, they were enough to attract Konoha's attention. At least it was enough to attract the attention of my guy, who was not far from here, and Chen Tian breathed a sigh of relief. Next, we have to be careful of the other party's desperate actions. Damn it. The black-clothed man cursed with an ugly face, knowing that he could no longer hide. Earth escape, earth flow wall. Boom. A wall of earth suddenly stood up, blocking Chen Tian's 3 fireballs. Earth escape, earth dragon bomb. Behind the earth wall, the black-clothed man twisted his fingers wildly, and a yellowish-brown dragon rushed towards Chen Tian ferociously. Die. Taking advantage of the moment when the black-clothed man appeared, Chen Tian fired the fireball that he had prepared long ago, heading straight for the black-clothed man's face. Seeing the approaching fireball, the man in black wanted to dodge, but the earth dragon bullet that was about to be displayed made it impossible for him to dodge. Boom. An explosion sounded, and the fireball hit the man in black's head fiercely, making him lose consciousness in an instant. But Chen Tian was not happy at all, because the earth dragon bullet that the man in black used before his death was only 1 meter away from him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8, Faming Konoha. Bang. At the moment when the Earth Dragon bullet hit Chen Tian, a foot wrapped in green clothes kicked Earth Dragon on the head. Then Might Guy's voice came, the secret of Konoha's physical technique, Konoha's strong force whirlwind. Earth Dragon was torn into pieces by this powerful kick, and the violent airflow instantly knocked Chen Tian to the ground. Ha. Survived. Chen Tian, are you okay? After kicking Earth Dragon apart, K instantly appeared in front of Chen Tian and helped him up with a worried look on his face. It's okay, just go to the hospital to stop the bleeding, you won't die. Chen Tian shook his head indifferently and then said, help me to the body. When I asked a question mark, it wasn't me who had a problem, but you. With this expression of bleeding too much and dying, the first thing he did was to go to the body. Although he couldn't understand it, K still helped Chen Tian to the body of the man in black. Looking at the white, blue, and purple cards that echoed each other next to the body of the man in black, Chen Tian almost jumped up excitedly. System, pick up all cards. Ding, white card increases strength by 1. Do you want to absorb it? Ding, white card increases speed by 1. Do you want to absorb it? Ding, blue card is substitute technique. Do you want to absorb it? Ding, purple card is Earth Dragon bullet technique. Do you want to absorb it? Ding, blue card is Earth flow wall technique. Do you want to absorb it? 8 or 9 system prompts sounded in succession, and Chen Tian felt that he had never heard such a beautiful sound. Absorb, absorb all. The originally very comfortable absorption process was simply unbearable due to Chen Tian's excessive blood loss, and he immediately fainted. Swish, swish, swish. Suddenly, more than a dozen Konoha and Bu appeared beside Might Guy and Chen Tian, surrounding them. After seeing one of the white-haired Anbu, Gay's eyes lit up and he said, Kakashi, Chen Tian was assassinated and fainted due to excessive blood loss. I'll take him to the hospital first. After that, Gay immediately rushed away with Chen Tian in his arms. When the Anbu wanted to stop him, Kakashi stopped him. Although he was very upset that Gay called out his name casually, Chen Tian's injuries did require him to go to the hospital in time. Clean up the battlefield. Take the body back to explore the information, and I will report to the third Hokage. After assigning the tasks in a swift and resolute manner, Kakashi immediately headed for the Hokage building. All this had nothing to do with Chen Tian. With Might Guy's full speed running, Chen Tian quickly arrived at the hospital. In fact, Chen Tian's injuries were not serious, but he fainted due to excessive blood loss. Under the treatment of the Palm Immortal technique, he recovered quickly. It's just that he needs to lie down for a while before the blood in his body can be replenished. There are no major sequelae, but he will be weak for a while. After making sure Chen Tian was fine, Kei left the hospital to inform Minato and Kushina. Not long after Kei left, Chen Tian woke up slowly. As soon as he regained consciousness, he began to make seals with his hands. It was not until he realized that the man in black was dead that he relaxed, breathed a sigh of relief and murmured, I survived. After moving his body to make sure there was no big problem, Chen Tian summarized this battle. First of all, his body was too weak. Although his chakra was sufficient, he could not cope with the opponent's close combat. This resulted in several physical skills that he knew being unable to perform, and he could only be kicked like a bull. Secondly, he had too few ninjutsu, whether it was attack or defense. Even if his chakra was sufficient, it would be useless without ninjutsu. A mere fireball technique could not defeat the enemy at all. I have to say that I'm lucky enough. If the man in black had used ninjutsu at the beginning, I would have died long ago. And it was also luck that killed the man in black in the end. Even I didn't expect it. It seems that I have to focus on picking up ninjutsu and physical fitness in the future, or ninjutsu is also okay. In this way, my chakra is not just for show. When deciding the key development direction for the future, Chen Tian remembered that the black-clothed man seemed to have exploded after his death, so he immediately opened a system panel to check. Host, Chen Tian strength. 26 speed. 27 constitution. 23 spirit. 26 chakra. 1010 talent, space talent LV3. Physical skills, Shuriken basic LV2, basic physical skills LV3, Konoha Great Cyclone LV4. Ninjutsu, Great Fireball Technique LV5, Earth Flow Wall Technique LV4, Earth Dragon Bullet Technique LV3, Substitute Technique LV6. The 4-dimensional attributes such as strength and speed have increased by 1 or 2 points, but the real important ones are Earth Flow Wall and Earth Dragon Bullet. A B-level ninjutsu and a C-level ninjutsu have greatly enriched Chen Tian's means of attack. Ha ha ha. For a while, Chen Tian laughed like a fool, and the patients and family members passing by outside the house looked at him with strange eyes, thinking about whether to help this silly boy call a doctor. No wonder Chen Tian was so happy. This sudden battle made Chen Tian unable to use his vast chakra. It was really a pity. But with these 2 ninjutsu and the substitution technique, combined with his chakra, Chen Tian could leap from a ninja school student to an elite chunin. Let me fight that black-clothed man again now. It's still unknown who will win. Chen Tian clenched his fist and was full of confidence. Bang! Kushina, who entered the ward, saw Chen Tian grinning and was relieved. She slapped him on the forehead and said, "Why are you grinning? You almost died, do you know?" As she spoke, Kushina's eyes began to turn red, and tears began to flash in her crystal eyes. Then, as if she was afraid of hurting Chen Tian, she gently rubbed Chen Tian's forehead with her right hand. The sudden attack instantly interrupted Chen Tian's silly smile, and brought him back to his senses. Seeing the tears flashing in Kushina's eyes, Chen Tian's heart softened and he said, "I'm fine, I don't even have a wound." After saying that, Chen Tian even stretched out his arm to show Kushina. "Sure. How are you, Zaoshin?" Suddenly, a figure appeared in the ward, and he really heard the voice before he arrived. Before he could even see Minato's appearance clearly, his concerned voice had already sounded. After some explanations and promises not to go to dangerous places in the future, Kushina and Minato reluctantly let Chen Tian go. Minato even set a flying thunder god mark on Chen Tian's body, and then he felt relieved. Under the protection of the future 4th Hokage in the current Ninetales Jinchuriki, Chen Tian swaggered back home. Originally, he was going to find a publishing house today, but now he can only put it aside. After sending Chen Tian home, Minato went to the Hokage building. He had already asked Chen Tian about the previous things, and now he had to report to the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. After learning that Chen Tian had killed an elite chunin alone, Minato and Kushina were also shocked. But after knowing the process, they couldn't help but laugh and cry. The man in black was unlucky enough to die from the Great Fireball, a ninjutsu that had never killed anyone. Under Minato's power, the follow-up of this matter was handled by him, and it had nothing to do with Chen Tian anymore. He didn't have to face the inquiries and investigations of those on Boo. After arriving at the Hokage's office, Minato did not hide anything, and told everything to Sarutobi Hiruzen truthfully. "Chen Tian?" Sarutobi Hiruzen murmured, after taking a puff of cigarette. Just by describing it, he had realized Chen Tian's amazing ability. It was not an easy thing for a 5-year-old to kill a chunin alone. Although luck accounted for most of it, it was true that he released more than a dozen great fireballs at the age of 5. More than a dozen great fireballs can already be considered a chunin, and Chen Tian's chakra has not been used up. When Chen Tian grows up and learns enough ninjutsu, how strong will he be? Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't know, but he should be able to fight the 1st generation for a few moves. While the 3rd generation was thinking, Danzo of the Root also received news from his subordinates and knew all of Chen Tian's achievements. Chapter 9 Entrance Test. You mean he released more than a dozen fireballs in a row, and his chakra hasn't been used up yet? Looking at his subordinates who came to report, Danzo knew they couldn't lie to him, but he couldn't help but doubt. It's not like he hasn't seen geniuses before. The 3 ninjas of Konoha, Hatake Tsukumo, Hatake Kakashi and others are all geniuses, but have you ever seen someone with so much chakra at the age of 5? Even the Shura of the ninja world, Uchiha Madara, didn't have such a huge amount of chakra when he was 5 years old. I guess only the 1st generation can achieve this level. The Root member who came to report didn't even raise his head and said emotionlessly, "Yes. Ha ha ha. Not bad, not bad." In the gloomy underground base, Danzo couldn't help laughing, and then said to himself, such a good seedling must be cultivated by the Root. In fact, the chakra of the Jinchuriki is much larger than that of Chen Tian, but they can't use it at will. Moreover, the chakra of the tailed beasts will interfere with their own chakra, making it very difficult for them to learn and use ninjutsu. But Chen does not have such a defect. As long as he learns enough ninjutsu, he can have a strong fighting power at any time. When Danzo made up his mind to get Chen, the third generation of Hokage was also thinking about this problem. Especially Chen is Minato's younger brother, and Minato is about to take office as the fourth generation of Hokage. Who knows if he can still suppress Minato at that time. However, after thinking about it, the third generation still suppressed this problem. He is now riding a tiger and has no other choice. After being escorted home by Kushina and Minato, Chen was forced to lie on the bed. It was not until the ninja school started 2 days later that Chen was able to leave the house. The busy Minato also took time out with Kushina to send Chen to register. Good morning, Minato. Is Minato sent his brother to school? Minato. Along the way, Chen saw how high Minato's prestige is now, and people on the street greeted Minato one after another. After a while, Chen and his friends arrived at the ninja school. Chen looked around for a long time, but didn't see any characters from the original book. After a few minutes, Minato took him to find the Chunin teacher, pushed Chen to the front and said, "Teacher Hirayama, Chen is in your care." After saying hello, Minato and Kushina left first. It was really hard to deal with the enthusiastic crowd. Chen saw that Minato's face was stiff with smile. "Chen classmate, the entrance test is about to start, and you have to come along." Teacher Hirayama tried to speak to Chen in a gentle tone, but the hideous scar on his face made his smile even more terrifying. This expression can scare a little girl to tears. Chen complained in his heart, but he answered very obediently, "Okay, Teacher Hirayama." After a few minutes, Hirayama took Chen to the practice field in the school. Quiet. The roar of a wild bear stunned the noisy children, and everyone's eyes were fixed on Hirayama. Seeing this, Yuan Shan nodded with satisfaction and said, "Now let's start the entrance test. Everyone, run 500 laps around the playground. You have 5 minutes to prepare." Hearing this, Chen jumped off the platform in an instant and started to warm up on the playground. Is he the child adopted by Minato-sama? Yes, I don't know why Minato-sama adopted him. He is just a civilian orphan. Minato-sama will soon become Hokage. He is the younger brother of Hokage-sama. The test will start soon. We must give him a head start. The children looked at Chen with sour eyes, and they wanted to prove that they were much better than Chen immediately. The news that Minato was about to become the fourth Hokage had spread throughout Konoha. When Minato became Hokage, Chen status and position would immediately be different. Not to mention that most of the children were just from ordinary families. Even the children of the Uchiha and Hyuga families were a little jealous. Chen listened to every word of these people, but he was not angry. An orphan suddenly became one of the most distinguished people in Konoha. Chen himself felt a little jealous. However, although he understood, Chen decided to go all out in the subsequent tests to let them know why. Okay, now everyone return to their positions. The test officially begins. The children stood in their positions sparsely. Minato, Kushina and others were watching on the stage, including the third Hokage and other Konoha high-level officials. Suddenly, a one-eyed man wearing black clothes and looking like a member of the Black Society came to the high platform. "Danzo, why are you here?" Seeing the person coming, the third Hokage asked curiously. Danzo almost never came to attend the entrance ceremony. Today, the sun really rose from the west. The war consumed too much power of the root. I came to see if there are any good seedlings that can replenish the power of the root. Danzo directly defined the matter in one sentence. Regardless of what others thought, he locked his eyes on Chen. Chen, who was ready on the playground, suddenly felt his hair stand on end, as if he was stared at by some flood beast. When he turned his head, he immediately saw Danzo's greedy eyes, as if he wanted to swallow him up. Gulp. Chen swallowed hard and turned his head quickly, constantly comforting himself in his heart. It's okay, it's okay. If Danzo dares to pay attention to me, Kushina will dare to release the nine tails to smash the root. Ready, run. At this time, Teacher Hirayama gave a command, and hundreds of children rushed out in a triumphant manner. Chen Tian also burst out with all his strength, and in just a few seconds he came to the leading position, and the gap with others was still widening. All the children present were only 5 or 6 years old, and even if they had trained, they were only at the level of adults. But Chen Tian's 4-dimensional attributes were all above 20 points, leading them in all aspects. Even if these children could use chakra, Chen Tian's chakra was something they could not even compare to. As he was running, Chen Tian's eyes suddenly lit up, and he thought to himself, "System, pick up the card." That's right, as he was running, a white card with a tempting glow suddenly appeared in front of Chen Tian's eyes. He didn't know which of the hundreds of children dropped it. White card increases physical fitness by 1. After discovering the unexpected gain, Chen Tian gave up the idea of finishing the fastest, adjusted his speed to the point of leading by 1 lap, and kept picking up cards. The probability of dropping cards during exercise is small, but if hundreds of people exercise together, the probability is not small. White card increases speed by 1. White card increases physical fitness by 1. White card increases strength by 1. Haha, it seems that going to school is really the wisest decision. Looking at his attributes constantly rising, Chen Tian shamelessly put the credit on himself. Chapter 10, Endure the Sky published. Even though Chen Tian deliberately slowed down his speed, he still finished the 500 laps very quickly. Ha ha ha. What kind of pervert is this guy? He didn't even sweat a drop. Don't even mention sweating. He didn't even breathe heavily. He's not tired at all. After running 500 laps, a group of children who didn't accept Chen Tian fell to the ground to rest, gritting their teeth at Chen Tian who didn't blush or breathe heavily. Chen Tian didn't bother to care about their gazes. At this time, he was admiring his attribute panel. Host, Chen Tian strength. 29 speed. 52 constitution. 50 spirit. 27 chakra. 1012 talent, space talent LV3. Physical skills, Shuriken basic LV2, basic physical skills LV3, Konoha great cyclone LV4. Ninjutsu, great fireball technique LV5, earth flow wall technique LV4, earth dragon bullet technique LV3, substitution technique LV6. The speed and constitution have more than doubled, all exceeding 50 points. Even without using chakra, Chen Tian's body is strong enough to fight with ordinary genin. For a moment, Chen Tian felt more comfortable looking at these staggering little brats, but when he saw the eyes of those Lalita, his face immediately turned cold again. He thought that Danzo's eyes were scary enough, but now these Lalita's eyes were so hot that they almost set Chen Tian's clothes on fire. If he gave them a good look, wouldn't they pounce on him immediately? The performance of the children was seen by everyone on the platform. Chen Tian didn't use his full strength, so he couldn't hide it from them. Sarutobi, I want the child who won the first place. The route is the most suitable place for him to develop. Hearing Danzo's words, everyone looked at him, as if he was a fool. Chen Tian's name had already spread throughout the upper echelons of Konoha. What are you pretending to be? And he is the adopted brother of the 4th generation, a die-hard supporter of the 3rd generation. How could he give it to you? What do you want? But what is surprising, is that the 3rd generation did not object immediately after hearing Danzo's words, but sat there thinking, "You're dreaming." Kushina exploded on the spot, her red hair moving without wind, and threatened, "If you dare to have ideas about Ocean, I will tear down your roots." Kushina, calm down. Minato stepped forward and held Kushina's delicate hands, turned to Danzo and said coldly, "I have my own arrangements for my brother's development, so you don't have to worry about it, Danzo." Hearing what the two said, Danzo's face was extremely ugly. He didn't expect that in just 2 months, Minato and Kushina would actually confront him for such an orphan. However, he still didn't give up, but set his sights on the 3rd generation. It was precisely because he knew the 3rd generation's concerns that he spoke at this time. "I will arrange the future of this child myself. Danzo, don't think too much, you can choose 2 of the rest to join the route." Seeing the attitudes of Minato and Kushina, the 3rd generation spoke slowly. "Humph, Sarutobi, you will regret it." Danzo's face turned completely green, and he secretly cursed the 3rd generation for being indecisive. He clearly wanted to suppress Minato's power so that he could secretly remove Minato from the position of Hokage, but he actually missed such an opportunity. Chen Tian is not strong now, but he is only 5 years old. When he is 15 years old, let's see how you, Sarutobi Hiruzen, will end up. Alas. Looking at Danzo's departing back, the third generation also sighed. He didn't expect Minato and Kushina's attitude to be so firm, otherwise he would have agreed to Danzo's request. As long as he could weaken Minato's power, he would spare no effort to do it. This can be seen from the fact that Minato's 3 guards in the original work were only Chunin. Chen Tian naturally didn't know about these things, but from the unpredictable expressions of several people, Chen Tian had more or less guessed. Now please let the third generation speak. Seeing that everyone had almost rested, Yuan Shan immediately gathered everyone. Congratulations to everyone for joining the ninja school. From today on, you are a reserve ninja. From now on. The third generation speech sounded like an old lady's foot rap in Chen Tian's ears. It was really smelly and long, and the listeners were drowsy. Where the leaves flutter, the fire will also continue. The flames will continue to illuminate the village and allow new leaves to sprout. After 2 hours, the speech finally ended. Chen Tian couldn't wait to applaud. Pa 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 pa. Under a series of applause, the third generation left with a gentle and kind smile and gained a lot of little fans. But Chen Tian was not among them. Okay, next I will announce the class list. Elite class, Chen Tian, Uchiha K, Hyuga Cheren, Akimichi Dinke, Narushikaku, a total of 28 people. Ordinary class, Pasabi A, Pasabi B, Pasabi C, a total of 33 people. Ordinary class 2, Chen Tian was too lazy to listen to anything except the elite class. Sure enough, it was similar to what he guessed. Most of the elite class were family children, with only 2 or 3 civilian children. After announcing the class list, teacher Hirayama announced the disbandment and asked them to come to school on time the next day. After knowing his class assignment, Chen Tian turned around and left the school, heading towards Minato and Kushina who were waiting for him at the school gate. I'll go out first. After returning home, Chen Tian took out the ninja breaker that he had prepared and left the house. While he had time today, he planned to find a publishing house to publish his book. Konoha Publishing House. After finding the publishing house he liked, Chen Tian walked in with a swagger, showing his style as the younger brother of the future 4th generation Hokage. Chen Tian couldn't take advantage of these vampires by himself, so he could only rely on the power of Minato and Kushina. Little friend, what book do you want to buy? I'm the younger brother of Konoha's senior ninja Minato Namikaze, and I'm here to publish a book. Chen Tian threw the notebook in his hand into the boss's arms with a snap sound, showing the posture of a rich 2nd generation. He had found out before coming here that this publishing house has a ninja background, so it often oppresses and exploits authors. Therefore, he had to shock the other party, otherwise Chen Tian doubted whether he could get even 1/10 of the royalties earned by Shinobi breaking the sky. Okay, I'll arrange it right away. Hearing this, the boss had no doubts at all and tremblingly agreed, without even discussing the issue of royalties. Behind him was just an ordinary jonin, who had no ability to compete with Minato, and no one in Konoha dared to pretend to be Minato's relative. He was not afraid of Minato himself, because Minato was reasonable. The boss was really afraid of Kushina. A few years ago, because Jiraiya gave Minato a copy of Intimate Paradise, Kushina was furious and directly demolished his place into ruins, and warned him not to continue publishing. Wait, let's talk about the issue of royalties first. Chen Tian stretched out his hand to stop the boss who was about to leave with the book, and said, I won't bully you. I'll take 70% of the royalties and you take 30%. How about it? Okay, it's settled. How dare the boss have any objections? He immediately took the contract signed by Chen Tian and sent Chen Tian out the door. Chapter 11. Creating Super S-Class Ninjutsu. In the blink of an eye, Chen Tian has spent 3 months in the ninja school. Today, all the ninja school members are on holiday because today is a day when Minato Namikaze takes office. Under the attention of the whole village, Minato, wearing a divine robe, began his speech. Chen Tian did not listen, but instead scanned the crowd to see if there were any cards that could be picked up. Suddenly, a pair of cold eyes collided with Chen Tian, and when he looked closely, it was Orochimaru. After glancing at Chen Tian, and then looking at Minato who was giving a speech, Orochimaru turned around and left quietly. Minato became the fourth Hokage, and Orochimaru will not be long before he defected. Staring at Orochimaru's departing back, Chen Tian felt a little regretful. Although he wanted to stop Orochimaru from defecting, he did not have enough strength, and had to give up. After a busy day, Minato officially became the fourth Hokage, and Chen Tian's status immediately rose a lot. After the inauguration ceremony, Chen Tian's life once again returned to peace, and he went to the ninja school and home every day. Shinobi Breaking the Sky has already started selling, and it can bring Chen Tian over 1 million taels every month, and this is the sales volume in Konoha. When it is sold to the land of fire, the land of earth, etc. in the future, the income will rise. In addition to these, Chen Tian thought of his talent for space and wanted to develop the portable space in fantasy novels. This inspiration came from Kushina. At the beginning, he accidentally entered the Ninetales space. Kushina sealed the Ninetales in her body, and there was a dark space to imprison the Ninetales. This is obviously an independent space, otherwise the Ninetales must be in the form of chakra, not in the form of a fox. It's just that Kushina's physical body cannot enter this space, which is obviously not perfect enough to store items. Based on this idea, Chen Tian began to learn sealing techniques with Kushina. But after a period of study, Chen Tian found that his talent for sealing techniques was very low, and he didn't even learn one, but picked up several sealing techniques. From then on, every time he studied, Chen Tian would let Kushina show it many times, so as to pick up the cards dropped by Kushina. It took a whole year, and after Kushina demonstrated it thousands of times, Chen Tian learned most of the sealing techniques, and then he began to build his own portable space. The first thing is to choose the location of the space. For example, the place where Kushina and the future Naruto imprisoned the Ninetales is the navel. After Chen Tian conducted research, he decided to set the seal in the palm of his right hand, so that he could use it at any time. Then, with the help of Kushina, he set the Bagua seal in his palm, forming a space that was the same as the Ninetales space. After completing this step, Chen Tian added the part of the yin seal that controls the input of chakra to the Bagua seal, so that the space can be opened and closed at any time. As long as the chakra is transmitted to the palm of the right hand, it can be opened and closed with a thought. After completing this second step, the remaining third step is to use his spatial talent to open up a small space in the Bagua seal. This part requires the help of Minato. Flying Thunder God can travel through space. Chen Tian has not picked up Flying Thunder God for so long, so he can only ask Minato to help. With the help of the folded space when Flying Thunder God passed through, Chen Tian used his spatial talent to control it in time, and prevented the space from returning to its original state. Then he immediately printed the prepared Bagua seal, and used the sealing technique to fix the space, and this ninjutsu was completed. Ha 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 ha. Chen Tian, who was already 6 years old, laughed wildly and said excitedly, "My ninjutsu is finally completed. Let's see how it is." Kushina was even more excited than Chen Tian, and her pretty face was full of blushes. Even Minato was a little impatient. If Chen Tian's ninjutsu succeeded, its value would be no less than that of the impure world reincarnation and Flying Thunder God. If a war breaks out again, Konoha will not need to send supplies to each other. It would be better for everyone to carry their own supplies. Looking at the excited two people, Chen Tian smiled and said, okay, I'll take a look." After agreeing, Chen Tian moved his chakra to the palm of his right hand and opened the portable space. He didn't know whether living things could survive in it, so he could only use his spatial talent to sense it. It's about 100 cubic meters in size. Although there is air inside, it can't circulate. Once it's consumed, there's no replenishment, so no living things can survive. In addition, the switch is designed perfectly. As long as you think about it, you can open and close it at any time. And the chakra consumption is very small, about the same as a fireball. While sensing, Chen Tian described the characteristics of the portable space bit by bit. Minato stood aside and recorded everything Chen Tian said with a ninjutsu scroll and wrote the words of Super S level forbidden technique at the end. Kushina held Chenshin's head and kept rubbing it back and forth in front of her chest, exclaiming, "Zaoshin, you are so amazing. You created a super S-level ninjutsu at the age of 6. Let me go first, I can't breathe." After struggling weakly for a long time, Chenshin escaped from the clutches of the devil only after Kushina calmed down. After glaring at Kushina fiercely, Chenshin jumped up and patted Minato's knee, saying, "Don't smile foolishly, let Kushina help you get a portable space. You can use Flying Thunder God, so you don't need my help, and the space is definitely bigger than mine. The size of the space at any time depends on the strength of the Bagua seal and the distance that Flying Thunder God moves at one time. The farther Flying Thunder God moves, the larger the folded space will be. As long as the Bagua seal is strong enough, the space that can be sealed is infinite in theory. But in fact, with the strength of the Bagua seal, the maximum space is only 500 cubic meters, and it cannot be sealed if it is larger. In addition to this, if you want to set up a portable space, a strong spatial talent is the bottom line. Whether it is Flying Thunder God or controlling the space folded by Flying Thunder God, you need a spatial talent. Even if these conditions are met, you still need a strong sealing technique. So far, only Chenshin and Minato can build a portable space. Apart from that, even Kushina can't do it, because she has no spatial talent and cannot control the space after Flying Thunder God is folded. Okay. After responding, Minato and Kushina began to get busy. The two arranged on Minato's left hand according to the order that Chenshin had performed before. After a while, the two stopped their actions. Chenshin saw Minato carefully sensed it and said to himself and Kushina excitedly, "It succeeded, more than 400 cubic meters." Minato performed Flying Thunder God himself, and the folded space was naturally larger than Chenshin's. When Chenshin picked up Flying Thunder God in the future, he could also continue to expand his own portable space. After calming down, Minato asked, "Zaoshin, this ninjutsu was created by you. It's up to you to decide whether to give it to the village. Whatever you want, no one else can learn it anyway, but it's best not to let the third generation and Danzo see it." Chenshin waved his hand and ran back to his room, rummaging through the boxes and cabinets and putting the 30 million taels he earned in a year into the space at any time. This is the head of a sumo, how can you not be careful? Chapter 12, Journey to the Land of Water. Chen Tian is now 6 years old. Although he has focused on developing his portable space for the past year, he has not neglected the four-dimensional attributes of his body. Both his speed and strength have made great progress. Host, Chen Tian strength. 108 speed. 123 constitution. 119 spirit. 106 chakra. 2048, talent, space talent LV3. Physical skills, Shuriken basic LV10, full level, basic physical skills LV10, full level, Konoha Great Cyclone LV4, portable space LV1. Ninjutsu, Great Fireball Technique LV6, Earth Flow Wall Technique LV5, Earth Dragon Bullet Technique LV5, Substitute Technique LV10, full level. Looking at the rather luxurious attribute panel, the smile on Chen Tian's mouth gradually became perverted. Even without chakra, Chen Tian's physical fitness can compete with weaker Chunin, almost equivalent to Rock Lee during the Chunin exam. Shuriken and basic taijutsu are practiced every day in the ninja school. When the proficiency reaches a certain level, it will be the maximum level. Even other ninjutsu have also been improved after a year of training. It is manifested in faster hand seals, greater power, and less consumption. Almost there, I can definitely win against a weaker Jonin. Chen Tian clenched his fists and felt that his body was full of strength. Having made up his mind, Chen Tian immediately went out and came to the largest ninja tool store in Konoha, which was Chen Tian's home, but now she was only 1 year old. "Give me 10,000 detonating talismans and another 1,000 shuriken. Here, I'll prepare them for you right away." Hearing Chen Tian's request, the boss grinned, his eyes full of little stars. One detonating talisman is 500 taels, 10,000 is 5 million taels, plus shuriken is a full 7 million taels. Even though it is the largest ninja tool store in Konoha, he rarely does such a big business. "Well, we only have 8,000 detonating talismans left here. What do you think?" Chen Tian was looking around, and the boss came to Chen Tian awkwardly. "It's okay." Chen Tian looked at the boss with understanding, and continued, "Just bring them all to me." "Okay, wait a minute." The boss responded, and in just 3 or 2 minutes, he handed Chen Tian 2 storage scrolls. After buying enough ninja tools, Chen Tian went to the Akimichi family's barbecue restaurant and packed a million taels of barbecue, all of which were packed in the space at any time. The air inside had already been completely exhausted by Chen Tian, and now it was in a vacuum state, which could completely ensure that the barbecue would not deteriorate. As early as yesterday, Chen Tian had taken leave, based on his identity as the younger brother of the Hokage, and now he had to find a way to leave Konoha. He had already inquired about it in the past few days. Kakashi and Haranorin were about to go to the Land of Water to perform a mission, and Minato's assurance was absolutely accurate enough. It was this mission that led to Haranorin's death and Uchiha Obito's blackening, and Chen Tian had to stop it. Even if it wasn't for Obito, the card of the three-tailed beast alone was worth Chen Tian's trip. So he prepared everything and waited for this opportunity. After a while, Chen Tian used the loophole he found out from Minato to leave Konoha and walked happily on the road of water country alone. In Konoha, Kushina, who had called Chen Tian for dinner many times, had already entered Chen Tian's room. As soon as she came in, she saw the letter prepared on the table. "Kushina, I have something to do when I leave Konoha. If you encounter danger, input chakra into the flying thunder god Kune and ask brother Minato to support me. Don't worry, I will be back in 10 days at most, so you don't have to come to find me." Hua reading word by word. Kushina's bright red hair moved without wind and gritted her teeth and said, "Smelly boy, you dare to run away from home. Are you tired of living?" Holding the letter, she sat down on the sofa angrily and threw the letter on the table with a pop, waiting for Minato to come back. Although she was very angry, Kushina was not worried, because she knew Chen Tian's strength. But this anger must be vented, and Minato can only bear it. Not long after Chen Tian left, Kakashi and Rin Hirano appeared at the gate of Konoha. They were going to the Land of Water to carry out a mission. Where is Black Zetsu now? Chen Tian, who was a little tired of watching the scenery of the Land of Fire for too long, thought. Suddenly, Chen Tian's eyes turned, and a faint smile appeared on his face. He murmured, "It's interesting. Let's play with you." Chen Tian walked to a thick and tall tree, as if nothing had happened, and walked over slowly with his head down. Swish. Boom boom boom, a shuriken suddenly shot towards Chen Tian from the top of the dense tree, with a detonating tag wrapped around it. Ha ha ha, can't you help it? With an accelerated jump, the space quietly opened at any time, and a shuriken wrapped around the detonating tag was thrown out by Chen Tian. How is it possible? Boom boom boom, under the perfect level of shuriken technique, the shuriken thrown by Chen Tian not only resisted the opponent's attack, but also brought the opponent's shuriken back. 2 shurikens tied with detonating tags flew over at the same time. The enemy only had time to exclaim before being completely submerged by the detonating tags. How beautiful. Looking at the burning tree, Chen Tian's eyes flashed with confusion. Then he left the place without looking back. Under the 2 detonating tags, a mere genin was dead. There was no other possibility except death. As early as in the Hokage's office, Chen Tian had seen countless tasks to deal with such ninjas, and he was very familiar with them. These ninjas are not considered ninjas. I don't know where they learned a trick or two, and they are robbing everywhere in the Land of Fire. And the number is so large that it is impossible to deal with them all. We ordinary people, I'm so happy today experiencing the power of the perfect level shuriken throwing. Chen Tian walked with the wind, humming a song that no one could understand. Just a shuriken foundation is so powerful. In the future, when other advanced ninjutsu are perfected, how beautiful will the power be? Forget it, let's find a hot spring hotel to rest today. Anyway, Kakashi and the others set out later than me, so there's no rush. Seeing the town in front of him, Chen Tian's eyes suddenly lit up. He has been in the Naruto world for more than a year, but he has never experienced what it's like to stay in a hot spring hotel. Chapter 13, Summoning Minato. It took Chen Tian 3 days to arrive at the main city of the Land of Water. Kakashi and the others' mission was to come here to investigate the abnormality of the Land of Water. Although Chen Tian knew why, he could not explain the source of the information. Besides, there must be a lot of cards obtained in such a battle. Here they are. Chen Tian, who was strolling back and forth at the gate of the city, suddenly had his eyes light up and recognized Kakashi and Herino Rin, who were dressed as civilians. That iconic hair was really too conspicuous. I remember that in the original book, it should be the ninja of the Land of Water who kidnapped Herino Rin and then lured Kakashi to rescue her. Then just follow Herino Rin, otherwise it will be easy for Kakashi to find out. Compared with Kakashi, who is already a Jonin, Chen Tian prefers Herino Rin, who is only a Chunin, so that the chance of being discovered is even lower. Just like the gate of the city, Kakashi and Herino Rin acted separately. Kakashi went to the tavern, while Herino Rin wandered around the street casually. It should be them. Looking at the three people coming out of the corner, Chen Tian secretly suppressed his chakra fluctuations. The leader of the three was a Jonin, and the remaining two were Chunins. This Linoop was not enough to deal with Kakashi and Chen Tian, but it was enough for Yuan Yelin. Should I stop them? Chen Tian thought to himself as he watched the three approach Yuan Yelin, as if nothing had happened. Seeing that the trio had already approached Yuan Yelin, Chen Tian shook his head and said, "Forget it. After the three-tail is sealed, let Minato bring the three-tail back to Konoha. Do it." Suddenly, the three people from the Mizukage village suddenly exploded. The cloth with medicine in the hands of the Jonin covered Yuan Yelin's mouth and nose, and controlled her movements at the same time. Before Yuan Yelin could react, she had already been successfully knocked unconscious. "Retreat. Take her to the adults quickly." As they spoke, the trio had already left with Yuan Yelin. Most people on the street did not notice their actions, and even if a few people saw them, they did not dare to speak out. Chen Tian carefully observed the surroundings, but did not find the existence of Black Zetsu, but he knew that Black Zetsu must be nearby. Forget it, we just need to wait later. The plan went smoothly, and Chen Tian staggered away from here to taste the seafood of the Land of Water. Even if Uchiha Madara was faster, it would take at least one day to seal the three-tailed beast and seduce Kakashi, so Chen Tian was not in a hurry. At this time, Minato had been beaten up by Kushina more than once in Konoha. "Tell me, what should we do now?" Kushina slammed the table hard and asked Minato with her eyes wide open in anger. Minato smiled helplessly and explained, "Don't worry, other people can't notify me through Flying Thunder God, but Chen Tian, who has the talent of space, can. Although he can't send a message, it is enough for me to know that he is in danger." While talking, Minato picked up the letter left by Chen Tian and read it. He read it over and over again for several times, but Minato didn't find anything. Until he turned the letter over, he saw small words written in the corner of the letter. "Wait for me to notify you. Bring Kushina with you." Kushina, look, there are words left by Zyroshin here. Excited, Minato pulled Kushina over. Kushina was about to get angry, but when she heard the words left by Chen Tian, she forced herself to hold back her temper. "You stay here and wait for the news, and we'll go together." Kushina immediately made the decision. Before, Kushina couldn't leave Konoha, but now Minato is a Hokage. Although there is still a third generation behind him who controls most of the power, the restrictions on Kushina have been lifted. After the two discussed it, they decided to do as Chen Tian said. They knew Chen Tian's unusual wisdom best, and they didn't believe that Chen Tian would harm them, so they didn't hesitate at all. The sun rose and the moon set, and a day had passed in the blink of an eye. Chen Tian stretched out of the hot spring tavern. Thinking back to the gentle massage of the young lady last night, he still had some aftertaste. If this kind of thing happened in Konoha, Kushina would definitely break his legs. After the aftertaste, Chen Tian walked with his short legs of 50 centimeters towards the plain 15 kilometers west of the city. This was the point he spent several hours to step on last night. Before setting off, Chen Tian specially changed into a little beggar's clothes in order to prevent Black Zetsu from discovering him. With his current strength, he could not detect Black Zetsu's prying, so he could only pretend to be a little beggar to hide. All the way to the destination, there was no one here for the time being. Chen Tian came alone behind a small hill. He took out a black steamed bun from his portable space, held it in his hand, and pretended to be precious, and then quietly waited for the actors to take their positions. Chen Tian didn't wait long. Dozens of water ninjas chased Yuan Yelin from a distance. Looking at the scene in front of him, Chen Tian almost laughed out loud because it was too funny. Don't look at the aggressive appearance of dozens of people, but each one is a genin, as weak as a chicken. Lin. Suddenly, a figure ran out of the jungle in the distance, and it was Kakashi. At this time, Kakashi's face was full of anxiety and anger, and his speed was so fast that Chen Tian couldn't catch up. Rakery. During the sprint, Kakashi's left eye's blood red eyes began to spin wildly, and the blue lightning on his right hand gathered together. Where Kakashi passed by, a bottomless ravine quietly emerged, and he rushed into the crowd in the blink of an eye. A group of genin, no different from watermelons in front of Kakashi, died in an instant. Oh my god, there are hidden figures here. Chen Tian suddenly saw a jonin chasing from a distance, and was immediately scared. He hadn't noticed this person before. If he came to attack him, the consequences would be. At the moment, when Chen Tian was stunned, the scene had changed, and Yuan Yelin stared at the Raikiri in Kakashi's hand. This is the time. At that moment, Chen Tian used his spatial talent to inject chakra into the shuriken. The next moment, the figures of Minato and Kushina appeared in front of him. Go and save them. Chen Tian shouted at Minato without too much explanation. Because Yuan Yelin had already rushed towards Kakashi, no one except Minato could stop her. Minato did not delay, and immediately checked the current situation. He came to Kakashi with a flying thunder god, grabbed Kakashi's arm, and reversed the direction of Raikiri. With his other hand, he saved Yuan Yelin and protected her. Chapter 14 Madara's Revenge. After Minato started to act, Chen Tian no longer paid attention to the situation on the battlefield. He had enough confidence in Minato. At this time, his two eyes kept turning around, looking for the figure of Uchiha Obito, but Chen Tian did not find it until Minato rescued the two. In a jungle not far from Chen Tian, Uchiha Obito stood there blankly. Afei, let me go quickly. I want to find Lin and Minato teacher. Obito, your current condition is not suitable for going out. Let's go back to find Mr. Ban first. As he spoke, Afei controlled Obito's body and began to retreat. Because he was completely wrapped by Afei, Obito had no right to resist. No matter how he struggled, he could only watch himself getting farther and farther away from Minato and others. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. He kept cursing in his heart, but Obito couldn't even open his mouth to speak. On the other side, Black Zetsu gnashed his teeth and said, how could this be possible? Namikaze Minato is clearly in Konoha. How could he appear here? The 1000-year-old shadow wall is indeed a 1000-year-old shadow wall. Even so, Black Zetsu adjusted his mentality in an instant and immediately went to the cave where Uchiha Madara was. The hiding methods of these people are too powerful. Chen Tian observed for a long time, but still found nothing. I don't know if Obito saw this scene. He shook his head gently and thought, forget it, he should have seen it. Even if he didn't see it, it doesn't matter. Then he took Kushina to Minato, Kakashi and others. When the two of them arrived, Minato had killed all the remaining dozen genin. Woo woo woo, Minato teacher, there is a monster in my body. It will destroy Konoha. After returning to Konoha, kill me. Finding that she didn't hit Raikiri, Yuan Yelin immediately burst into tears. Chen Tian couldn't help but feel a little funny. This kind of lie can only fool children. Then he turned to Kushina and said, the people of the Mist Shadow Village sealed the three tails in Rin's body, but the seal is unstable. Sister Kushina, please help reseal it. After Chen Tian finished speaking, Minato and Kushina suddenly realized why Yuan Yelin was like this. At that moment, the two of them were also at a loss for words, and comforted her. It's okay, you only have a tailed beast in your body. Your master Kushina also has one in her body, and it's stronger than yours, isn't it okay? While speaking, Kushina also cooperated and released a breath of the nine tails. Really? Stopping crying, Yuan Yelin looked at Kushina pitifully and asked. Kushina nodded gently and said, it's true, and it's been many years. Now I will arrange a good seal for you, and it will be completely fine. As she said that, Kushina put her hand on Yuan Yelin's lower abdomen and shouted, 8 trigram seal. This is the most suitable sealing technique for sealing tailed beasts among the sealing techniques that Kushina knows. Even if Yuan Yelin is not a member of the Uzumaki clan, it can still be sealed. During Naruto's time, among all the Chiriki, only Naruto was of the Uzumaki bloodline. Didn't the others also successfully become Jinchuriki? Now lens sealing technique is obviously more advanced than that of other villages, so she can naturally become Jinchuriki. This is also the premise of Chen Tian's plan. Brother Minato, sister Kushina, since the Mizukage is willing to give us the three tails, then we should accept it with reluctance. Chen Tian said playfully. After becoming a Jinchuriki, the tail beast will die if the Jinchuriki leaves the body. With Minato's personality, he will never do this. This also means that the three tails must belong to Konoha, even if it means going to war. As for the old men like the third generation, it would be fine if they didn't intervene. If they dared to intervene, Chen Tian would dare to break their claws. Because just now, Chen Tian picked up two cards, namely Reikiri and the Flying Thunder God he had always been thinking about. Should we fuse Reikiri and Flying Thunder God? Fusion. S-level ninjutsu Reikiri was successfully fused, and S-level forbidden technique Flying Thunder God was successfully fused. Although he was extremely excited, Chen Tian did not check the system panel, but said to Minato and Kushina, if we take away the three tails, the Kirigami village will definitely not give up, so we still have to be careful. This place is too far away from Konoha, and even Minato does not have the ability to bring so many people back. Chen Tian had just picked up Flying Thunder God, and there was not even a mark in Konoha, so he could only break through all the obstacles and break through all the obstacles. Minato and Kushina nodded seriously at the same time, and they also knew the seriousness of the matter. At this time, Minato, Kushina, Kakashi and Hiranorin were all full of questions, but they tacitly did not ask. If there was anything, they could go back and talk about it, but it was important to leave now. When Chen Tian and others were about to leave, Black Zetsu had already returned to Madara's base before Obito. Lord Madara, the mission has gone wrong. I don't know why the fourth Hokage of Konoha, Minato Namikaze, appeared there, saved the girl, and ruined our plan. As soon as he came out, Black Zetsu told all the information without saying a word, fully playing the role of Madara's lackey. What? The head that had been drooping suddenly raised, and the three Magatama Sharingan in Madara's eyes, which belonged to someone unknown, turned wildly, and a powerful aura was rampant. Notify the Mizukage, and say that the Hokage of Konoha sneaked in, and stole the three tails, and let them deal with it themselves. Also find a way to brainwash Obito. Don't let today's events affect our plan. After saying that, Madara seemed to have lost all his strength and suddenly collapsed on the spot. He is now very old. If it weren't for the pipes behind him connecting to the outer path demon statue, he would have died many years ago. It is not easy to exude such momentum at this time. Yes, I'll do it now. The next moment, Black Zetsu's figure slowly merged into the ground and quietly went to deliver information to the Mizukage. Not long after Black Zetsu left, a Fairy came back with Obito wrapped in his arms. After coming in, a Fairy let go of Obito. Why don't you let me go find Rin and Minato sensei? In anger, Obito pointed directly at Madara's nose and began to question him. Madara's eyes flashed with anger, but he still said kindly and gently, Obito, your injuries have not recovered yet, and even your appearance has been ruined. Do you want to meet them in this state? After thinking about it, Obito felt that what Madara said did make sense. What if he met Rin in his current state and scared Rin? Thinking of this, Obito immediately apologized to Madara. I misunderstood. I'm very sorry. But I saw the people from the Mist Shadow village chasing Rin. I want to avenge Rin. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15, The Attack of the Water Shadow. Although he comforted Uchiha Obito, Madara was filled with hatred in his heart. He couldn't hold on for much longer, and now his plan had changed. After hearing Obito's request, Madara agreed without hesitation, because he could not find any Uchiha clan members who were easier to fool than Obito. However, after Obito left, Madara and Black Zetsu discussed how to continue to plot against Harano Rin. This person was a prerequisite for Obito to open the manger key, and Obito would be useless if she didn't die. In addition to Uchiha Madara, the third generation Hokage of Konoha, Sarutobi Hiruzen, also discovered that Minato had left Konoha at this time. You just became Hokage, and you dare to leave your post without permission. It seems that I have to continue to manage the power of Konoha. He took a deep puff of dry tobacco, and in the smoke, Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled, and found a perfect excuse for himself. If it weren't for the unfavorable situation of the Third War, how could Minato Namikaze be the Hokage? He can still work for a few more decades. Wouldn't it be good to pass the position of Hokage to his son after he retires? Chen Tian naturally didn't know all this, and even if he knew, he didn't bother to pay attention. Wouldn't it be better to suppress them directly, after he became stronger? At this time, Chen Tian and Minato were looking behind them with a solemn expression, because Kushina found that someone was chasing them not far away. There are a total of 12 people, one is the Mizukage, and there are 11 Jonin. Are we waiting for them here? Kushina used the powerful perception ability of the Uzumaki clan to the fullest, and instantly detected the enemy's strength. Yes, right here, there is the sea in front, which will make them stronger. Minato answered Kushina without thinking. Then he said to Kakashi, you and Yelin and Chen Tian, your strength is not enough, go hide in the distance, and come out, after we resolve the battle. While speaking, Minato sighed in his heart. Fortunately Chen Tian asked Kushina to come together, otherwise even he would run away. The Jonin doesn't matter, but the Mizukage can temporarily hold him back, and Kakashi and others may die here. Kakashi and Lin leave here together. Lin's safety depends on you. Patting Kakashi on the shoulder, Chen Tian turned to Minato and said, my strength is not bad. I can guarantee my own safety. I will stay to help you. After thinking for a second, Minato nodded and agreed. Although Kakashi didn't want to leave like this, he looked at you and Yelin beside him, and had no choice but to leave. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. After Kakashi left, Minato and Chen Tian began to prepare for the battle. Several shurikens were thrown in a hidden corner, and the word Sword of Benevolence were engraved on them. These were the shurikens that Minato had engraved with the Flying Thunder God technique, so that he could use Flying Thunder God at any time. The rest were left for use in the battle. Unlike Minato, Chen Tian ran to the direction where the enemy was coming from, took out one detonating tag after another from the space at any time, and buried them all in the ground. Minato and Kushina behind were dumbfounded and asked in confusion, Zaoshin, where did you get so many detonating tags? Although he didn't count them in detail, there were at least more than 1,000. Haha. With an awkward smile, Chen Tian remembered that he hadn't told the two yet, and then explained, I wrote the ninja breaking the sky, so I made some money, most of which was used to buy detonating tags. This made Minato and Kushina even more surprised, but there was no time for them to ask in detail at this time, because the other party had already caught up. Golden Flash Namikaze Minato? I didn't expect it was you who kidnapped the tailed beast of our Mist Shadow Village. The 4th generation Mizukage Yagura looked a little ugly, but considering the senior ninjas around him, he had another clue in his mind. He said, hand over the 3-tailed beast now, and I can let you go. Otherwise we will wait for our Mist Shadow Village to declare war on Konoha. Puff. Sorry, I really can't help it. Looking at Yagura's dark face, Chen Tian apologized quickly and wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth. It's as if you can keep Minato and let you go. You don't know what Flying Thunder God is, do you? HMPH, if you don't accept my toast, come on. Yagura, who was short, became angry, like a red carrot, but his aura should not be underestimated. Even Minato's face became solemn, showing that he was still under some pressure. There are detonating tags around us, be careful. The moment he rushed up, the Jonin next to Yagura suddenly spoke up, to remind these ninjas to avoid Chen Tian's detonating tags. Water style, big explosion water wave. Water style, big explosion water wave. Water style, big explosion water wave. 11 Jonins plus the cage level Yagura began to form hand seals at the same time, because they knew that Minato would not give them the opportunity to form hand seals after closing the distance. Instead of doing this, it would be better to use a wave of joint ninjutsu to defeat Minato in one fell swoop. As for Chen Tian and Kushina, they were ignored. Chen Tian was only a 6-year-old child, and it was easy to be ignored. and the news about Kushina had been hidden by Konoha and had never been exposed. Today, it was the first time that Kushina left Konoha after becoming a Jinchuriki. Don't even think about it. Rasengan. With a light shout, Minato activated the shuriken that had been placed long ago and instantly appeared beside Yagura and others, with the Rasengan in his hand spinning wildly. The moment his right hand was sent out, Minato's figure disappeared again, and he appeared beside the next person, firing another Rasengan. In just a moment, 8 of the 11 Jonin behind Yagura died, and the remaining 3 gave up the seals in fear and left the place instantly. There was no flying thunder god shuriken for Minato where the 3 of them were, so they escaped. But Yagura took this opportunity to release the ninjutsu, and because he couldn't catch Minato, the great explosion of water was directed at Chen Tian and Kushina. Yagura wanted to use the lives of these 2 people to seduce Minato, but unfortunately, he had calculated everything, but he didn't expect Kushina to be more powerful than Minato. Sealing water seal. With a light sigh, Kushina's delicate jade fingers turned repeatedly, and the surging waves were all sealed in a scroll by Kushina, and the crisis was solved in an instant. The next moment, Minato appeared beside Kushina again, looking calmly at Yagura opposite. The reason why he was only beside Kushina was because Chen Tian had rushed out at some point, but he did not go to fight with the opponent, but ran to the corpses. Chapter 16, Solo Kill of a Jonin. Seeing Chen Tian's action, both Minato, Kushina and Mizuki Yagura stopped and all focused their eyes on him. Chen Tian naturally noticed this situation, but he was too lazy to pay attention. Didn't he spend so much effort just to pick up the cards? How could he give up just because of their gazes? Purple, blue, white. After a round of picking up, Chen Tian picked up a total of 18 cards. However, they were not fused for the time being, and Chen Tian had no time to check. Because Yagura on the opposite side obviously had the intention of retreating, which Chen Tian could not tolerate. How can I pick up the cards if you don't fight? And Minato and Kushina will definitely win. We must kill him. Thinking of this, Chen Tian decisively took the initiative to attack. Chidori. Zizizizi. With a low chuckle, a faint blue light appeared on Chen Tian's right hand, as if tens of thousands of birds were chirping. The next moment, Chen Tian's body rushed out at a terrifying speed, and instantly came in front of a Jonin, and stabbed the Chidori in his hand fiercely. This Jonin had never thought that a 6-year-old child like Chen Tian could have such a strong power. He could not react for a while, and could only turn his head to take the blow with his shoulder. But a Jonin is a Jonin after all, and Chen Tian has too little combat experience. After being injured, the Jonin used a substitute technique to leave the place, leaving only a piece of charred wood. The moment Chen Tian rushed out, Yagura, who was at the level of Cage, naturally noticed him. Seeing Chen Tian showing such a strong power, he was suddenly shocked and wanted to kill Chen Tian. But when he was about to take action, Minato had already appeared not far away from him, staring at him. Kushina stared at the remaining 2 Jonins to prevent them from hurting Chen Tian. Water escape, water dragon bullet technique, shuriken shadow clone technique. The next moment, Minato and Yagura fought, and Kushina also attacked the 2 Jonins. In addition to a large amount of chakra, she actually didn't know many ninjutsu, most of which were sealing techniques. So Kushina used the 9 tails directly, and 2 red tails suddenly appeared behind her, and a round ball of light appeared in front of her. Tail beast ball. With a cry, the tail beast ball in front of Kushina rushed towards the 2 Jonin. Boom. The tail beast ball exploded the moment it approached, and the surrounding trees were uprooted one by one, and then turned into powder. The land with a radius of 400 or 500 meters on the ground turned into a large pit more than 10 meters deep, and the originally clear sky seemed to be covered with a layer of gauze. The figures of the 2 Jonin had completely disappeared from the spot, and not even a piece of torn clothes was left. Damn. Is this power so terrifying? Chen Tian was accidentally blown away for more than 10 meters, and he was stunned by the scene in front of him. Although he had seen the power of the tail beast ball in anime, it was never so shocking to see it with his own eyes. If it weren't for the 4 or 5 cards lying quietly in the big pit, Chen Tian would have thought that the 2 people had escaped. After the surprise, there was ecstasy. The golden card under Kushina's feet seemed to have some magic, constantly attracting his attention. Just when Chen Tian was surprised, in fact, Kushina, Minato and Yagura were even more surprised. Although they didn't know how old Chen Tian was, he looked only 5 or 6 years old, and he actually killed a Jonin alone. Not to mention Kushina and Minato, they have been living with Chen Tian, and knew that he had a huge chakra, but they didn't expect that even his strength was so strong. And the ninjutsu that Chen Tian just used was clearly created by Kakashi. Why did Chen Tian do it? Originally in their minds, Chen Tian was like Uzumaki Naruto in the original work, with extremely powerful chakra, but very ordinary strength. But they didn't expect that his strength was actually proportional to his chakra, and he reached the Jonin level. Minato was thinking about whether to give Chen Tian a Jonin proof after returning. Chen Tian didn't know the horror of these people at all. After Chidori injured the Jonin, the other party happened to stand on his detonating tag. The next moment, a deafening roar suddenly appeared, and the Jonin was already dead. Ha ha ha. I'm rich, I'm rich. Chen Tian ignored the doubles fight between Kushina and Minato against Yagura. Instead, he ran around the battlefield alone with a grin on his face, picking up cards one by one, until he finally picked up the golden card dropped by Kushina, and then it came to an end. The rest was to wait for Minato and the others to finish fighting, and then pick up all the cards dropped by the three of them. It would be best if he could kill Yagura, then it would definitely be a big explosion. But this was just a thought. Chen Tian knew very well that Minato would not do this. If he hadn't suddenly taken action, Minato would have let Yagura go long ago. The next is the happiest fusion stage. Looking at the situation of Minato and Kushina flying dragon riding on the face, Chen Tian checked the cards in the direction. White card is strength +1. Do you want to fuse? Blue card is chakra +10. Do you want to fuse? Purple card is water escape big explosion water wave. Do you want to fuse? Purple card is water style, water array wall. Do you want to merge? Gold card is tail beast ball. Do you want to merge? After checking all the more than 20 cards, Chen Tian couldn't close his mouth with a smile. Merge, merge all. With the order, Chen Tian felt as if his brain was hit by a sledgehammer with pain and numbness. Before, he had merged one ninjutsu after another, so he didn't have such a big reaction. But now that so many ninjutsu have been merged at once, the knowledge input into his mind is too huge, which will cause such a situation. After 3 minutes, Chen Tian came back to his senses and withdrew from that uncomfortable state. Feeling that his power has become stronger, Chen Tian said that he is full of confidence and can definitely save Minato and Kushina during the Ninetales Rebellion. Besides, now that Rin is not dead, it is not certain whether the Ninetales Rebellion will still happen. But Chen Tian didn't notice that Kakashi and Hirano Rin had come back at some point, hiding not far away and watching the whole battle. At this moment, the two of them fixed their eyes on Chen Tian, their eyes full of confusion, surprise, and shock. Kakashi's eyes also showed a rare fighting spirit, although it was fleeting, but you and Yella noticed it. Chapter 17 Return to Konoha. Kakashi originally thought that he was talented enough. He graduated at the age of 5, became a Chunin at the age of 6, and became a Jonin at the age of 12. But what is this thing in front of him now? If I remember correctly, he is only 6 years old. Why can he kill a Jonin alone? In addition, why does he have his own original ninjutsu? All this puzzled Kakashi, and he even thought, if I was so powerful at that time, would my father not have died? Thinking of this, Kakashi's eyes flashed with a lonely look. Lin beside him was different from Kakashi. Chen Tian's powerful strength also surprised her, but what was more important was his face. What a cute little face. It would be nice if I could rub it. Unconsciously, Lin actually said what was in her heart, which made Kakashi's face darken. After Chen Tian merged the cards in the field, he couldn't wait to check it out. System. Call up the system panel. Host. Chen Tian strength. 118 speed. 123 constitution. 122 spirit. 131 chakra. 2158 talent. Space talent LV3. Physical technique. Shuriken basic LV10. Maximum level. Basic physical technique LV10. Maximum level. Konoha Great Cyclone LV4. Portable space LV1. Ninjutsu, Great Fireball Technique LV6, Earth Flow Wall Technique LV5, Earth Dragon Bullet Technique LV5, Substitution Technique LV10, Maximum Level, Reikiri LV1, Great Explosion Water Shockwave LV7, Water Array Wall LV5, Water Dragon Bullet LV4, Instant Body Technique LV6, Tailed Beast Ball LV1. In an instant, Chen Tian's attribute panel was upgraded. Now his combat power is definitely a Jonin, and even among Jonin, it is not bad. Because he picked up too many Great Explosion Water Shockwaves, Chen Tian's ninjutsu directly reached the 7th level, which is simply terrible. The same ninjutsu, when used by Chen Tian, is at least twice as powerful as others. And the instant body technique that he urgently needs also exploded, and the level is also level 6, which is enough for him to use. In this way, Chen Tian has no shortcomings, except that he can't use illusions. If he hadn't taken the initiative to hide the list of sealing techniques, this panel would have at least 3,000 words, and it would be impossible to read it. These are just small surprises. What really makes Chen Tian happy is the Tailed Beast Jade. That's the Tailed Beast Jade. Although the strength of the Tailed Beast Jade has decreased a lot in the later period, it is definitely a top level powerful thing in the early period. The only pity is that the level of Reikiri is too low, so Chen Tian can only use Chidori now. Alas, why didn't you explode Minato's Flying Thunder God? After being happy, Chen Tian sighed unsatisfied. If this was heard by others, Chen Tian would probably want to die. Just one battle, you have the strength close to the elite Jonin, and you are still not satisfied? After confirming his own strength, Chen Tian closed the system panel and turned his attention to Minato, Kushina and the other two. Yagura's strength is not weak, he is a real cage level strongman, but unfortunately he met two perverts, Minato and Kushina. Not to mention 1 against 2, he is not a match for any one of the two. So Yagura has been beaten. If Minato didn't want to kill him, he would have died 8 or 10 times. Okay, you wait. Yagura woke up immediately after being kicked in the face by Kushina again. With the help of Kushina's power, he left the battlefield and fled to the distance. At this time, he had already seen clearly that, although Minato would not kill him, it did not mean that the other party did not dare to cripple him. Although he escaped like this, Yagura was not feeling well either. Kushina was good at the strange force punch, and the power of that kick should not be underestimated. Yagura lost half of his cheek. After seeing the end of the battle, Chen Tian immediately used the instant body technique to come to the battlefield of the 3 people, and then began to wander around casually. At least in the eyes of Minato and Kushina, there aren't many cards, not even any ninjutsu cards, but Chen Tian's chakra and spirit have improved a lot. Especially there is a purple chakra card belonging to the Nine Tails, which makes Chen Tian's chakra soar to 3000 in an instant. In this battle that he planned, Chen Tian made a lot of money, and he also showed his strength by the way, so that Minato and Kushina can let him do whatever he wants. Now the only trouble is that he can't show all the ninjutsu he knows, because there is no way to learn it. Chidori can be said to be learned by watching it once, but what about the others? It's okay to learn it by watching it, just like Kakashi's Reikiri turned into Chidori, because it's weaker, because you just learned it. But you can't learn those water escapes by just watching them, and the power is stronger than those Mist Shadow Jonin, right? This is unreasonable. Let's go, we'll talk about it after we go back. Without waiting for everyone to speak, Minato interrupted and led the way. Chen Tian and the others had no objection. After all, it was too dangerous in the land of water, and there were Madara and Black Zetsu hiding in the dark. It would be best to go home as soon as possible. However, no one noticed that the detonating talismans that Chen had arranged before had not all exploded. There was still one that was still buried in the ground, with a bunch of dense words on it. These words were naturally written by Chen Tian. As for why this detonating talisman did not explode, no one except Chen Tian knew the answer. Perhaps seeing the fighting power of this group of people, Uchiha Madara gave up the idea of continuing to cause trouble. Yagura also knew how powerful these people were, so he also did not let anyone chase them. So after losing the entanglement of these people, the speed of Chen Tian and the others was greatly improved. It only took 2 days for the group To enter the land of fire. Okay, we have entered the land of fire, and we can take a break for a while. Minato clapped his hands and stopped on his own initiative. These 2 days have been a forced march, and the time for rest is very little. Now that we are back in our own country, of course we have to take a good rest. After stopping, Minato pointed at Chen Tian's right hand, and Chen Tian took out plate after plate of hot barbecue. For a while, the forest was full of the aroma of barbecue. For the people who had been marching for 2 days, the smell was completely irresistible. After Kushina arranged for Kakashi and Lin, she couldn't wait to eat crazily. For a while, there was no sound in the whole forest, except the sound of eating. Finally alive. After finishing 3 plates of barbecue by herself, Kushina stopped with satisfaction. After everyone finished eating, they locked their eyes on Chen Tian. They had too many doubts about this matter, even Kakashi and Lin. Not to mention Minato and Kushina, who knew nothing and just came to save people. Before, Chen Tian was always afraid that Uchiha Madara would catch up, so he urged everyone to hurry up. Now he should be able to say it. In fact, Chen Tian was also a little surprised and confused. He asked Kushina to come together to prevent Uchiha Madara, but he didn't expect that Uchiha Madara didn't chase him at all. It seems that he can't hold on for much longer. As long as we protect Haranorin in a short period of time, everything will be okay. I don't need to tell you, Minato will arrange it. After thinking it over, Chen Tian found that, although his plan had many flaws, it could barely be considered a success. Yagura had seen the strength of Kushina and Minato, plus the 3 ninjas of Konoha and Sarutobi Hiruzen. The mere mist shadow would never dare to start a war, so there was no need to worry. But at this time, after waiting for a while, waiting for those who should leave to leave, and those who should die to die, Chen Tian would never dare to mess around like this. But none of this is important. The important thing is how should he explain to Minato and Kushina now? Chapter 18, 3 Generations of Trouble. Fortunately, these were all Chen Tian's wild thoughts. Neither Kushina nor Minato asked, which made Chen Tian feel relieved. If these two really wanted to get to the bottom of it, he really didn't know how to answer. Because the things he did could not stand up to reasoning at all. Anyone who was not a fool could basically see that there was something wrong. Although Kakashi and Yellen were also very curious, they didn't know the whole story, so they didn't think much about it. Mainly because Kakashi saw that his master and mistress didn't ask, so he pretended to be confused. However, Chen Tian still couldn't escape Kushina's clutches. Kushina always remembered that he ran away from home. After a fight, the few people had almost rested, so they got up and continued on their way. It was not appropriate for Minato and Kushina to leave Konoha, so it was better to go back early. On the way back, Chen Tian found that there was a problem with his system. He saw a white card dropped from Kakashi, but he couldn't pick it up anyway. After trying various methods, he had no choice but to give up the card. But this made Chen Tian feel a little gloomy, and he was completely out of shape. Sure. Minato appeared beside Chen Tian with a body flash technique, supported his body that was about to fall, and asked, "Zio-Ocean, what's wrong with you? Why are you completely out of shape?" He really had never seen a ninja almost fall down while rushing on the road. He was fine before, and it was obviously not injured, but Chen Tian's current state made Minato and Kushina very worried. The two of them kept looking back and forth at Chen Tian with worried eyes, trying to find out what happened to Chen Tian, but unfortunately they found nothing. Looking at the eyes of the two, Chen Tian felt warm in his heart and said, "I'm fine, don't worry, I was a little distracted just now, let's go back first." After saying that, he didn't care whether they believed it or not, and went to Konoha first. The main thing was that he had no way to explain this matter, so he could only make jokes like this to get by. Chen Tian and his friends were getting closer and closer to Konoha, but Uchiha Madara on the other side was not as relaxed as them. His old body could no longer hold on, and even with the outer path demon statue, he couldn't hold on for too long. Black Zetsu, I don't have much time left, and that little girl should be too late. Konoha will definitely conceal the news of that little girl, to prevent the news of the three tails from leaking out. You arrange for White Zetsu to disguise as that little girl and take Kakashi, and let Obito open the manger key. I will use the last time to go to the Kurigakage village and ask them to keep the news of that little girl and the Three Tails secret. Black Zetsu was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and then looked at Uchiha Madara deeply, and his vigilance towards him increased a lot. But he still didn't show it on the surface, but respectfully agreed, "I'll do it right away, Madara-sama." After that, Black Zetsu slowly merged into the cave and disappeared into the cave. I don't have much time left, so I can only use this method. That is not a solution. Hateful. Wait until I revive, and I will find you when I revive. A low and angry voice slowly spread in the cave. After a day of running around, Minato had returned to Konoha with a few people. As soon as he came back, he was stopped by the Enbu at the gate. "Hokage-sama, Kushina-sama, the third Hokage asked you all to go to the Hokage's office." After saying that, the Enbu wearing a fox mask stood there, motionlessly looking at Chen Tian and the others. "You." Kushina was about to lose her temper when she was stopped by Minato and said to the fox-masked Enbu, "Okay, we got it." After getting a satisfactory answer, the fox-masked Enbu led a few people to the Hokage building. "Minato, you are the Hokage. How can he, an Enbu, speak like this? The old man third Hokage abdicated long ago." Kushina complained as she walked, and she didn't have the slightest intention of lowering her voice. It was obvious that she was talking to the fox-masked Enbu. Unfortunately, the other party seemed to have not heard it, and there was no change at all. Instead, Minato gently pulled Kushina's hand and whispered, "It was indeed my fault that I left Konoha without permission this time." Chen Tian also temporarily put aside his worries about not being able to continue picking up cards, and thought to himself, has the telescope technique been developed now? But what can you do? While they were talking, they had already arrived at the Hokage's office. After opening the door, Sarutobi Hiruzen sat in the Hokage's position. "You're back." He took a puff of cigarette, and in the smoke, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't see any expression at all. "Yes, third cage." Minato answered Sarutobi Hiruzen's question respectfully, and then he explained, "I left Konoha without permission this time because..." "You don't have to say it." Without waiting for Minato to explain, Sarutobi Hiruzen interrupted him and said to himself, "It seems that you haven't completely mastered the duties of Hokage. I, the Soul Bone, will assist you for a few years." Chenshin laughed in his heart. "Is your true form finally revealed? It's a pity that you don't have that ability." Thinking of this, Chenshin was about to speak. It was a good thing that the system couldn't pick up the cards and vent the anger on Sarutobi Hiruzen. But before he could speak, Kakashi had already taken the lead and said, "Minato teacher left Konoha to save me. I will bear any punishment myself." Sarutobi Hiruzen chuckled and shook his head and said softly, "Kakashi, this is not a punishment. You are still too young." Looking at Kakashi, who was choked by Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, Chenshin shook his head in his heart. Finally, there is such a legitimate opportunity to suppress Minato. Will Sarutobi Hiruzen, who is so greedy for power, give it up easily? Just look at Danzo, and you will know. Sarutobi Hiruzen is exactly the same type as him. It's just that Danzo is really bad, and Sarutobi Hiruzen is hypocritical enough. Boom. "Old man, what do you mean?" The hot-tempered Kushina exploded, smashed the desk in front of her with a punch, and shouted at Sarutobi Hiruzen. She is simple, but not really stupid, the kind of naive person who doesn't know anything. And she has never liked Sarutobi Hiruzen. She didn't know before, and she couldn't understand it, but after Minato became Hokage, it was no longer a secret to her why the Whirlpool country was destroyed. If she hadn't had her own bond in Konoha, she would have turned against him long ago. But Sarutobi Hiruzen is now going too far. How can Kushina tolerate this? Chapter 19. Capturing Orochimaru. Good. Seeing Kushina's outburst, Chen Tian applauded her crazily in his heart. To deal with this old bitch, the only correct choice is to suppress him with fists. Other methods are useless. Knock knock knock. But at this moment, a knock on the door suddenly sounded, attracting everyone's attention. "Please come in." Hokage-sama, the Enbu found that Orochimaru-sama was conducting human experiments and discovered his base. The Enbu who entered the door didn't even raise his head and told everything in a babble, his tone full of disbelief and anxiety. Several people in the office also looked at each other. No one thought that Orochimaru, the disciple of the third Hokage, and one of the three ninjas of Konoha, would actually do such a thing. Of course, who was pretending, and who really didn't know, was only known by themselves. After all, they were all movie stars. Minato, Orochimaru is my disciple, leave this matter to me. Sarutobi Hiruzen was the first to come to his senses and spoke immediately. Chen Tian, who also pretended to be surprised, was immediately upset when he heard this. If you ask, it's fine, but who are you ordering here? Coupled with the previous depression in his heart, Chen Tian immediately said, Lord Sarutobi, you have already abdicated. I'm afraid the decision will be made by the fourth Hokage. Chen Tian emphasized the words abdication and the fourth Hokage, which made Sarutobi Hiruzen's face look ugly. If it were just a few of them, it wouldn't matter. Sarutobi Hiruzen could find 10,000 reasons, but now there are still Anbu here. How can he defend himself? Does he still want his reputation? Okay, Minato, you make the decision. But Orochimaru is my disciple, and it's most appropriate for me to capture him. The old and sophisticated Sarutobi Hiruzen directly took advantage of the situation, but secretly hated Chen Tian in his heart. Based on these few words, Chen Tian is definitely a stumbling block for him to suppress Minato, and he must find an opportunity to get rid of him. Just a 6-year-old kid, it's useless even if he has some talent. Talent is never equal to strength. Unfortunately, he didn't know that Chen Tian was already a Jonin now, and even an elite Jonin couldn't kill him. Otherwise he wouldn't have challenged Sarutobi Hiruzen so much. Hokage, Orochimaru is one of the three ninjas, and one of the signatures of Konoha. The fewer people who know about this, the better. Why don't we just go? Seeing that Minato was a little hesitant, Chen Tian immediately spoke first, and winked at Kushina while speaking. Although she didn't know why Chen Tian said this, Kushina still believed Chen Tian unconditionally, and said in the same way, Orochimaru is very powerful. It's safest for you and me to go together, Minato, otherwise he might run away. While the two were talking, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was almost as black as the bottom of a pot. He had known about Orochimaru's human experiments for a long time, and he also had a hand in studying the cells of the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama. Even if it wasn't for Orochimaru, it was for himself. He couldn't let Orochimaru be captured alive. But now more than a dozen Anbu have come one after another. Is he going to suppress Minato in front of so many people? Chen Tian was sure that he dared not and could not do this, so he spoke like this. Some things can be done in secret, and everyone knows it, but they must not be put in the open. And even if he really overturns the table now, he alone can't be the opponent of Minato and Kushina. And his biggest helper Orochimaru is in such a situation now, it is obviously impossible for him to come to help him. The remaining Tsunade and Jiraiya are not in Konoha, and even if they are, they may not help anyone. Jiraiya is Minato's master, and also a disciple of the third generation. Tsunade is needless to say. She has a very good relationship with Kushina, and the extermination of the Senju clan also has the shadow of Sarutobi Hiruzen. This led to Tsunade wandering in the ninja world, and unwilling to stay in Konoha. When that time comes, Tsunade may rush more fiercely than Kushina. Even Kakashi in front of him. His father's death was because of his secret intention. These thoughts flashed through Sarutobi Hiruzen's mind, and he knew that the situation was hopeless, and he could not help but fall silent. Before, he could still act arrogantly by relying on the status of the third Hokage and Minato's master, but now that this little beast is in the open, that method will not work. Damn it. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Chen Tian with eyes like a ferocious beast, but Chen Tian didn't care at all. Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't do it this time, and he wouldn't be able to do it in the future. Okay, then let's go together. If the third Hokage wants to go, then let's go together. After hesitating for a while, Minato still didn't completely reject the third Hokage's request. Minato, you are so soft-hearted, no wonder you died after only 2 years as Hokage. Although he sighed in his heart, Chen Tian was even happier. If you want to completely make Sarutobi Hiruzen lose his voice, you have to show your fists in front of him. Let him see the fighting power of Minato, Kushina, himself and Kakashi today. While thinking, they were led by a dozen Anbu to Orochimaru's laboratory. The moment the door was opened, everyone's eyes turned ugly. In the cans of light green formalin, one after another, people were naked and soaked in them. In addition to these, there were also many people who had lost their life signs lying there on the experimental tables. Ha ha ha. Looking at the people who came in one after another, Orochimaru ignored everyone and said to the third generation, "Teacher, you finally found this place." Chen Tian originally thought that he would not have any reaction, but when he really saw it, he felt nauseous. It was not hatred for Orochimaru's human experiments, but simply feeling disgusted. Looking at the others, almost all of them had ugly faces, only Kushina was calm. TSK. Looking back and forth, Chen Tian thought to himself, how can someone who grew up in this world of cannibalism hate Orochimaru because of such a thing? Every one of them has a good acting skill. However, he was not interested in listening to Orochimaru and Sarutobi Hiruzen chatting about family matters, so he shouted immediately, "Brother Minato, capture him alive. Kushina, help together, and Kakashi and I will harass him remotely." As soon as the voice fell, Chen Tian used a flash body technique to distance himself and began to make seals with his hands. He was not stupid. With Orochimaru's strength, speed, strength and physique were at least over 1,000. With his data of 1 or 200, wouldn't it be a death sentence if he rushed forward? Seeing Chen Tian's move, Minato and Kushina also rushed forward. Hula la, Minato's shuriken had been scattered all over the laboratory, and Flying Thunder God took care of it in advance. Kushina was more direct. Suddenly, 8 golden chains emerged from behind her and wrapped around Orochimaru. The diamond blockade that the Uzumaki clan can use to suppress the tailed beasts is as flexible as 8 cobras. Water style, water dragon bullet technique. At this time, Chen Tian spent 6 seconds to make 44 seals, and the water dragon howled and went straight to Orochimaru. The laboratory was not very big, and the water dragon's body almost broke through the laboratory. Summoning technique, triple Rashomon. Bang, bang. The water dragon broke through the first door with great force, deformed the second door, and then dissipated. After launching this attack, Chen Tian began to slack off on the side, and his eyes were always locked on Sarutobi Hiruzen. Chapter 20, Secret Talk in the Hokage's Office. Although Orochimaru is powerful, Minato and Kushina are not weaker than him, so Orochimaru has always been at a disadvantage, and can only hold on. If Minato and Kushina hadn't killed him, Orochimaru would have died 2 or 3 times. But even so, he was about to collapse, and he would definitely lose in a minute at most. Orochimaru still has many ninjutsu that he hasn't developed yet, such as the snake-style substitute and the cartilage technique. Otherwise he could hold on for a while longer. In fact, Orochimaru himself was also very confused. According to his thinking, it should be Sarutobi Hiruzen who came, and Minato couldn't possibly beat that old bastard. But what is the situation now? Why are all of them here? Evil disciple, you dare to conduct human experiments, your master will clean up the mess today. Seeing that Kushina was about to successfully seal Orochimaru, Sarutobi Hiruzen instantly summoned the Sarutobi demon, and was about to knock Orochimaru to death with a stick. It would be best to save Orochimaru's life, but since he couldn't, he would prevent him from being captured alive. But after Chen Tian came out and released a water dragon bullet, he had been staring at him. How could he let him succeed so easily? Tailed beast ball. Without hesitation, Chen Tian immediately used his most powerful ninjutsu. Other ninjutsu, even the highest level and most powerful water dragon bullet, could not threaten Sarutobi Hiruzen. When Chen Tian began to condense the tailed beast ball, the 2000 chakras in his body flowed at a very fast speed and all condensed in front of him. Because of too little chakra, it only took a moment for Chen Tian's tailed beast ball to condense, but it was only the size of a fist. Compared with the tailed beast ball of the Ninetales, which was several meters in size, it was so weak and terrifying. But even so, it was enough to kill Sarutobi Hiruzen, as long as it hit. When condensing the tailed beast ball, Chen Tian also moved his feet a few times in a very sinister way, so that Sarutobi Hiruzen and Orochimaru were on the same line. As long as Sarutobi Hiruzen dared to continue jumping around, Chen Tian would directly release the tailed beast ball and take his life. Sensing the terrifying chakra fluctuations behind him, Sarutobi Hiruzen's body suddenly paused, and he looked back at a very fast speed and saw Chen Tian's eager eyes. In just a moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen instinctively stopped and moved to the side. Vajra seal. With this delay, Sarutobi Hiruzen completely lost his last chance, and Kushina had already controlled Orochimaru. After several seals fell on Orochimaru's body, sealing his chakra, Minato and Kushina stopped. Seeing this, Chen Tian slowly dispersed the miniature-tailed beast ball in front of him, and said to Kakashi at the same time, "Kakashi, come and help me, I can't stand without chakra." "Chen Tian, you dare to attack me? Are you going to betray the village?" The furious Sarutobi Hiruzen directly put a big hat on him. As soon as these words came out, Minato, Kushina and Kakashi were all shocked, and their eyes were full of worry. They also saw what happened before. Chen Tian's tailed beast ball was indeed aimed at Sarutobi Hiruzen. The worst thing was that the dozen Anbu saw it, and there was no way to quibble. Then, the determination in Minato and Kushina's eyes flashed, but they didn't have the chance to speak, because Chen Tian, who was leaning against Kakashi, blinked his bright eyes, made an innocent expression, and looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, "I was obviously going to hit Orochimaru, but Lord Sarutobi rushed up to block my attack. In order not to hurt you, I didn't attack." Everyone thought about it, and it seemed to be true. If it weren't for Sarutobi Hiruzen, Chen Tian's attack was indeed aimed at Orochimaru. And it was indeed Sarutobi Hiruzen who rushed up himself. Everyone saw this scene. What is Sarutobi Hiruzen going to do now? To take revenge? Looking at the strange eyes of the crowd, Sarutobi Hiruzen almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. In the end, the matter came to an end under Minato's coordination, and Chen Tian did not continue to entangle. He had almost vented his anger, so there was no need to continue. It was impossible to kill Sarutobi Hiruzen here anyway. After all, he was the third Hokage, and he had been in office for so many years, so he still had some reputation. After being sent home by Kakashi, Chen Tian lazily lay on the sofa and sighed. Sure enough, it's more satisfying to slap such a big shot in the face. Chen Tian went home to rest, but Minato and others were still rushing to the Hokage building. The child before was Chen Tian. He was only 6 years old, and he was not weaker than us. Don't flatter yourself. Can you take his last move? Alas. He is stronger than us at only 6 years old. He is really a genius. In order to keep it secret, Minato asked the Zanbu to disband first. After leaving Minato and others, these people started chatting. At this time, an Anbu who had been silent all the time suddenly asked, "Do you think Chen Tian will become the second first Hokage when he grows up?" As soon as this sentence came out, everyone was speechless. Although they thought it was impossible, there was only one first generation, and the others could not be that powerful. But reason told them that Chen Tian, who was only 6 years old and already a Jonin, would be as powerful as the first generation in the future. After returning to the Hokage's office, Sarutobi Hiruzen asked to interrogate Orochimaru in person. Minato and Kushina looked at each other and showed an expression of as expected. Then Minato, who always obeyed Sarutobi Hiruzen, decisively rejected Sarutobi Hiruzen's request and said that he had something else to do, so if you were fine, please leave quickly. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was so angry that his nose was crooked, had no choice but to leave, and the door of the office was almost broken by him. After Sarutobi Hiruzen left, Minato and Kushina did not interrogate Orochimaru, but chatted with him instead. The three of them chatted in the Hokage's office for 3 hours, until the sun was about to set, when Kushina unsealed Orochimaru. The trapped Orochimaru did not run away, but showed a friendly expression, and then quietly left the Hokage's office without anyone noticing. After Orochimaru left, Kushina checked several times to make sure no one was eavesdropping and asked, "Minato, how do you think Zaoshin knew that the old man would want Orochimaru, and why would Orochimaru listen to us for this?" That's right, what Minato and Kushina said before were what Chen Tian had told them before. Everyone has secrets, but Zaoshin's secret is bigger. There is no need to ask. Anyway, he can't harm Konoha. That's right, he is not a bad brother in the mysterious. Looking at Minato's open-minded smile, Kushina also showed a stunning smile, which made Minato's eyes go straight. Chapter 21 Chen Tian's goal. Only Chen Tian, Minato and Kushina knew where Orochimaru was going, and no one knew what he was doing. When Sarutobi Hiruzen and others asked, Minato just said that he had imprisoned Orochimaru and sent many Enbu Jonin to protect him. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little worried, he thought that he had never done those things in person, so he put it aside for the time being. But someone couldn't be as calm as Sarutobi Hiruzen, and that person was the former Hokage assistant Shimura Danzo. The reason why Orochimaru was exposed was because he deliberately revealed the news, and Orochimaru knew almost everything he had done over the years. So Danzo had no doubt that Orochimaru would betray him. So after getting this news, the huge route under Konoha had already started to operate. Everyone listen, your mission tonight is to rescue Orochimaru. Summoning all the route personnel, Danzo began to arrange the plan. His dream is to become Hokage. If the previous things are exposed, let alone becoming Hokage, I'm afraid he will not survive. After thinking about it, Danzo found that he must rescue Orochimaru. Even if it is impossible, at least he must be killed. After a while, Danzo arranged the tasks for his men, and then he left Konoha alone. At the same time, he kept thinking about his plan, trying to find the loopholes. First, all the members of the route gathered. A total of 12 Jonins carried out the rescue plan, and hundreds of Chunins were secretly distributed in Konoha, ready to pick up these people. The remaining thousands of Genins pretended to be the Anbu after the rescue was successful, creating chaos in Konoha and increasing the difficulty of the Anbu's tracking. However, there is a prerequisite for all this, that is, someone must attract Minato's attention and lead him out of Konoha. Otherwise, with his speed and strength, none of these route personnel can survive. If there is enough time, Danzo will definitely find someone to cooperate with, or hire some wandering ninjas to carry out the execution. Unfortunately, time does not allow it now, so he can only do it himself to attract Minato out. In order to wash away his suspicion, a route member has already disguised himself as him and returned to the Shimura clan. After thinking about it several times, Danzo was sure that his rescue plan could be implemented. Although Minato and others would certainly doubt him, Danzo had nothing to fear as long as they could not produce substantial evidence. While thinking, Danzo had already left Konoha. After waiting quietly for half an hour, Danzo's figure turned into a stranger. Wind style, big breakthrough. Wind style, vacuum jade. After successfully performing the transformation technique, his hands flashed immediately, and 5 or 6 wind-style ninjutsu whistled out and smashed on the streets of Konoha. The next moment, without even looking at the damage he had caused, Danzo turned around and left Konoha. However, his speed was maintained at the level of a Jonin. Boom. In the Hokage's office, Minato, who was working overtime, heard the explosion and his face changed. He put down the documents in his hand and shouted to the outside of the door, "All Anbu, follow me." As he spoke, 18 masked figures appeared in the Hokage's office. Seeing that the personnel had gathered, Minato no longer hesitated and led everyone to chase. In just a moment, they found Danzo's back going away. Although they did not recognize this person, it did not prevent them from chasing him. "I'll catch up first, you guys hurry up." After saying this, Minato's speed suddenly increased, and he instantly closed the distance with Danzo, leaving those Anbu behind. At this time, he had left Konoha, and Danzo's first step of the plan was achieved. After hearing the noise in Konoha, someone had been observing the Hokage's office. After seeing Minato leave, he hurried back to the route. "The adult's plan has been successful, and the rest depends on us." Yes. A total of 12 Jonin came to the Konoha prison together and rushed up without saying a word. Almost no one knew the people in the route, and they were not afraid of being recognized after changing clothes. Anyway, there were so many restrictions on them that no one could know their identities even if they died. Here we go. In the Konoha prison, Kushina suddenly opened her eyes and said to Chen Tian, who closed his eyes and rested. Chen Tian stretched and said, "What are you waiting for? Kill them." As soon as the words fell, Orochimaru, who was as silent as a poisonous snake, rushed out instantly. That's right, all of this was Chen Tian's plan. Originally, he didn't bother to take care of Konoha's mess. But now that the Hokage is his elder brother, whoever dares to stretch out his claws, Chen Tian doesn't mind chopping him off. Among them, Shimura Danzo is the first target. Although it is impossible to kill him directly, it is no problem to abolish most of the roots. Around the Konoha prison, Kushina had already arranged the sealing technique, so even if the noise here is loud, it can't be heard outside. When Orochimaru and Kushina attacked at the same time, the 12 root ninjas didn't even have the ability to resist, and were crushed by the two. Looking at the cards on the ground, that were flashing with tempting light, Chen Tian's saliva was almost flowing, but he couldn't afford to pick up a single one. This made Chen Tian fall into depression once. But now is not the time to think about this. The most important thing is what comes next. Uncle Snake, collect all their bodies and show them to the villagers tomorrow. There are so many unknown ninjas breaking into Konoha. If it weren't for the fourth Hokage, I don't know how many people would die in Konoha. You are really cruel. You even use the dead. Having said that, Orochimaru's hands were not slow at all. He quickly collected the bodies. Yes, Orochimaru is not a rebel ninja now. He is still one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha. How could Chenshin let a scientific research talent like Orochimaru become a rebel ninja? In Chenshin's eyes, let alone human experiments, even if Orochimaru destroyed one of the 5 major ninja villages, he would accept Orochimaru. His value is even more important than the protagonist Uzumaki Naruto, because Orochimaru is an existence that can change the ninja world. As a modern person who has received a complete 9-year compulsory education, Chenshin is very dissatisfied with this world. I don't know how many people starve to death every day, and any genin can do whatever he wants in front of ordinary people. It's simply unbelievable. With Orochimaru in hand, Chenshin can begin to develop Konoha, using economic trade and other means, to subtly bring this world closer to its previous life. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 System Problems. Not long after Chenshin finished, Minato, who was chasing Danzo, also came back. But he came back empty-handed. Danzo, who was afraid of death, had too many tricks up his sleeve, and Minato had no way to deal with him for the time being. Of course, the main reason was that Minato didn't want to kill people from his own village, so he showed mercy. When things came to this point, Chenshin said hello to Kushina and went home to sleep. The rest of the things would be left to Minato and Orochimaru. He was still a 6-year-old child. If he continued to stay up late to cultivate like this, he might not grow tall in the future. Chenshin could not tolerate this. The next morning, Minato summoned all the people in Konoha and threw out the bodies of the 12 root jonin. After that, there was no need for Minato to say anything, as a white-haired jonin from the Anbu jumped out and began to tell the villagers the story. Last night, 12 unknown jonins broke into Konoha, intending to cause massacres in Konoha and weaken its strength. But the 4th Hokage found these people in time and killed them together with his wife. Because these ninjas are targeting the villagers, the 4th Hokage decided to destroy these bodies in front of all the villagers. If you find suspicious people in the future, you must report them in time, so that the 4th Hokage can deal with them in time and protect our safety. This speech was so moving that Chenshin nodded repeatedly. He originally thought that the effect of Kakishi's speech was not very good, but who knew that this white-haired kid was actually an actor. This effect was better than Chenshin expected. This scene was thought up by Chenshin after a long time. Minato had almost no prestige when he first came to power. The reputation on the battlefield only shows your strength, but in the position of Hokage, Minato has nothing. Therefore, the bodies of these 12 jonins can completely improve Minato's reputation. In addition, almost all the big families in Konoha knew what was going on with these corpses, and they could use this to shock them and make them put away their little thoughts. Since Minato could kill the 12 jonin of the root, he could kill the patriarch of their family. What a pity I didn't see Danzo. Looking around, Chenshin felt that he had lost all his happiness when he didn't see the person he wanted to see. However, what made him more relieved was that Minato told him that Danzo vomited 3 pounds of blood on the spot after he went back last night and found out the result and then fainted. Presumably, after this incident, those who have little thoughts can also calm down. In fact, Minato himself was unwilling to do this, but Chen Tian knew that you must let people know when you do good things, otherwise what is the difference between doing it and not doing it? Therefore, he would use the name of alerting the villagers to publicize Minato's great achievements. Sure enough, knowing the ins and outs of the matter, the villagers off the field cheered. After all the villagers left, Minato, Kushina, Chen Tian and Kakashi returned to the Hokage's office. Just after doing this, Orochimaru came in quietly. Mr. Chen Tian, I don't know when the 100 million teals you mentioned can be credited to my account. My laboratory is no longer usable. Yes, Chen Tian promised to give Orochimaru 100 million teals to build a laboratory for him. Of course, there are other conditions besides these, but there is no need to explain them for the time being. More than 10 centimeters of silver bills were lined up in front of Orochimaru, and Chen Tian's casual voice sounded at the same time. It's just a mere 100 million. I'm not going to refuse to give it to you. Why are you in such a hurry? Looking at the two words 10,000 written on the silver, not only Orochimaru, but even Minato and Kushina were stunned. Zio-Ocean, where did you get so much money? I don't know if it was because of his big heart or because he was used to Chen Tian's magic. Minato calmed down quickly, but he was still very curious. You know, the entire Konoha only has a budget of 500 million a year. Seeing the ignorant looks of the three people, Chen Tian couldn't help shaking his head. These are 3 cage level strongmen, but they don't even have such a little money, which is really pitiful. But he didn't continue to tease the appetite of the three people and said, do you know about Shinobi breaking the sky? I wrote it. It has been sold to the Land of Water now. Waving his hands, Chen Tian made a showdown gesture. After more than a year, Shinobi breaking the sky has been completed and has become a big hit. Even the most difficult country to trade with, the water country, has his book, not to mention other countries. Now when you walk on the streets of Konoha, you can hear some children shouting 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. Don't bully the young and poor. After pretending to be a big shot in front of the 3 cage level strongman, Chen Tian, who was refreshed, left first. Those who wanted to deal with Minato have been scared, and Chen Tian can retire. Now he has his own things to do, and he needs to study what's going on with the system. Now the strength of the Jonin is enough to protect himself, but after more than 10 years, the Jonin will be the same as cannon fodder. After returning home, Chen Tian immediately called up the system panel and started to check it. Host, Chen Tian strength. 200 speed. 200 constitution. 200 spirit. 200 chakra. 5000. Note, the host's 5 attributes have reached the current physical limit. After the physical potential is improved, you can continue to pick up physical attributes. Talent, Space Talent LV3. Physical skills, Shuriken Basic LV10, full level. Basic Physical Skills LV10, full level. Konoha Great Cyclone LV4, Portable Space LV1. Ninjutsu, Great Fireball Technique LV6, Earth Flow Wall Technique LV5, Earth Dragon Bullet Technique LV5, Substitution Technique LV10, full level, Reikiri LV1, Great Explosion Water Rush Wave LV7, Water Array Wall LV5, Water Dragon Bullet LV4, Instant Body Technique LV6. Tail Beast Ball LV1. After pondering for a long time, Chen Tian determined that the problem appeared in note, the host's 5 attributes have reached the current physical limit. After the physical potential is improved, you can continue to pick up physical attributes. Now his attributes have reached the limit of this body, which means his potential has been used up. If he wants to continue to pick up physical attributes, he can only find a way to improve his potential. But what makes him embarrassed is that this is not a fantasy world. There is nothing to improve potential. And the system did not give a clear explanation, which made Chen Tian a little confused. The only good news is that, although the physical attributes can no longer be improved, he can still pick up ninjutsu. But this is not what Chen Tian wants. Chapter 23 Searching for Tsunade. Forget it. There is nothing I can do now. I can only try to figure it out slowly. Since he really couldn't think of a way, Chen Tian didn't make it difficult for himself, but decided to maximum out his ninjutsu proficiency first. Then he would find a chance to pick up more cards, to improve his strength more or less. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed since the last incident, and during this period Chen Tian had perfected several ninjutsu. Minato's position as Hokage became more stable, and even Sarutobi Hiruzen rarely intervened. It can be said that he controlled most of the power in Konoha, and looked like a Hokage. However, Chen Tian knew that these were only temporary, and as long as there was a chance, those jumping clowns would still jump out. In addition to these, Orochimaru built a laboratory not far from the Hokage building. Unlike before, this time under the supervision of Chen Tian, the laboratory was magnificent and majestic, just like a modern laboratory. After entering, not only did he not feel depressed, but he was curious. In the laboratory, Orochimaru worked hard to do various chemical and physical experiments, with a look of surprise on his face. From time to time, he would pick up a few books beside him, and take a look. The books said junior high school physics, junior high school chemistry, etc. These were all written by Chen Tian one by one. Because he forgot some of them, he could only write whatever he remembered. Some of them may not even be at the junior high school level, and some are even at the university level. How is it? Do you have any clues? At this moment, Chen Tian put down the game console made by Orochimaru, and a cunning flashed in his eyes. Orochimaru said without turning his head, "Okay, although I haven't fully understood it, but my intuition tells me that there is a secret of immortality in it." Now it was Chen Tian Sparta's turn. How come I don't know that science can make people immortal? In order to keep Orochimaru, he promised to give Orochimaru a way to immortality. He thought that Orochimaru didn't know what science was anyway, so he could just fool around. After that, he handed over the technology of his previous life to Orochimaru, and asked him to study it for the benefit of Konoha. But he didn't expect that Orochimaru dared to say so, now that he hadn't even finished reading the textbook he wrote. If his memory is correct, even with the advanced technology in the previous life, it seems that such a thing can't be done, right? But after thinking about it, Chen Tian was relieved. Although the technology in the previous life was advanced, it did not reach its limit after all, and no one knew what the end of science was. Is it possible to achieve the immortality that Orochimaru said? However, it may take a long time to achieve such a thing, but Chen Tian did not destroy Orochimaru's interest. He continued to study, and when various products appeared, Konoha would not know how developed it would be. It is worth mentioning that Rinhara, who was the three-tailed Jinchuriki, also joined the laboratory and became Orochimaru's assistant. When Chen Tian didn't know, all kinds of coincidences happened in the ninja world, and all the plots that he destroyed outside Konoha began to slowly repair. In the case of losing Rinhara, White Zetsu transformed into Rinhara and successfully deceived Uchiha Obito to open the manger key. After that, Uchiha Madara broke into the Mist Shadow village with the Outer Path demon statue, controlled Yagura and erased his memory. Not long after leaving the Mist Shadow village, Uchiha Madara went to Huanquin, and Obito monitored Nagato for him. But Madara didn't realize that when he left, a civilian accidentally saw all this. After learning the secret, he was going to report it to the ninja master, but as he walked, he forgot what he saw, and then forgot where he was going. Scratching the back of his head in confusion, the civilian staggered back home. Not long after, Uchiha Obito, who was overwhelmed by hatred, came to the Kurigakage village, and everything returned to the track of the original work. With the efforts of Black Zetsu and Uchiha Madara, the news of Irano Rin was completely concealed. However, the same thing did not happen in Konoha where Chen Tian was, and he didn't know about these situations yet. During this period, Chen Tian and Minato were in the limelight in Konoha, and every poor person thought of their kindness. After Minato took power, Chen Tian modified the tasks of Konoha ninjas. Now there are often ninjas in Konoha who accept agricultural tasks such as watering and turning the soil, which are easy and safe, and the remuneration is not low. This policy is deeply loved by those weak chicken chunin. Watering to release water escape, turning the ground to use hand escape. Listening to the civilians around him exclaiming, he felt extremely satisfied. This led to the ninjas of Konoha almost integrating with the civilians, and the class concept began to slowly dissipate, which made Minato happy for a long time. In addition to this, there is the financial problem of Konoha. because in just 1 month, Minato found that it seemed possible, and perhaps Konoha did not need the military expenses of the daimyo, and could be completely self-sufficient. Under such circumstances, Chen Tian said goodbye to Minato and left Konoha. Although Konoha is thriving now, these are all superficial, and the bones are still rotten. So he is going to find Tsunade and Jiraiya back, and then no one will dare to jump out. Well, these words are a bit false. Chen Tian's real purpose is to find the first medical ninja in the ninja world to see if she has any way to improve her physical potential. When Orochimaru had no way, the only person he could think of was Tsunade. As for Jiraiya, it was a byproduct. If he found her back and met her every day, maybe he would pick up the sage mode. Since he didn't know where Tsunade was now, Chen Tian went from city to city, trying to find out the whereabouts of the big fat sheep. His first stop was the far country's Johto. After arriving at the destination, he was not in a hurry. After having a good time here, he began to look for her in the casino. As he expected, Tsunade was not here. After asking those gamblers for information, Chen Tian continued on his way. But not long after leaving Johto, Chen Tian found that he seemed to be targeted by someone. Because there were too many people in the city, he couldn't find out who was targeting him, so he left the fire country's Johto in a swagger. Since I can't find you, let you jump out by yourself. With this idea in mind, Chen Tian went wherever there were few people. It was not until 10 miles away from the fire country that a person walked out in front of Chen Tian. Kakuzu. Looking at the familiar dress of the person, Chen Tian was a little surprised. Except for the staff uniform without black background and red clouds, other aspects are exactly the same as the future Kakuzu. You actually know me. Chapter 24 Playing with Kakuzu. Although he was a little surprised, Kakuzu didn't have that much time to waste with Chen Tian. He still had to make money. He immediately said, since you know my reputation, I will be merciful and let you know why you died. As he spoke, Kakuzu looked at Chen Tian with more and more greed, as if he saw a pile of money. Although you are still a child, your head is worth a full 100 million. It's the same as the cage of the 5 major ninja villages. After saying that, Kakuzu looked at Chen Tian with interest, to see how he would react after knowing this news. He is just a child. Knowing that he is about to die, he will definitely cry miserably, right? Unexpectedly, Chen Tian's performance was completely beyond his expectations, and he was a little surprised. The same as the cage of the 5 major ninja villages. That's not bad. Smacking his lips, Chen Tian knew that he would be in trouble in the future. The cages of the 5 major ninja villages are powerful and famous, and basically no one dares to cause trouble to them. But he is different. A 6-year-old child must be a hot commodity in the eyes of people like Kakuzu. However, he didn't care about the current crisis, because he knew Angle's ability too well. Although he only had the strength of a Jonin, it was enough for him to repel Angle. You won't leave, even if I tell you to, so come on. Water style, water dragon bullet. As he spoke, Chen Tian's hands brought up an illusion, and 44 seals were quickly formed. A water dragon more than 10 meters long suddenly appeared, and there was a hint of danger in the crystal clear luster. This move was completely beyond Kakuzu's expectations. He didn't expect that a mere child could have such a strong strength and be so decisive. This water dragon bullet technique has exceeded the strength of a Jonin. Either the kid's chakra is too huge, or his control over this ninjutsu is extremely strong. It's like the same ninjutsu in the hands of an ordinary ninja, and in the hands of Uchiha Madara, it's completely different. But now he doesn't have so much time to think about it, because the behemoth has already hit him mercilessly. Water style, water array wall. Earth style, earth flow wall. Earth style, earth flow wall. In the blink of an eye, Jio released 3 defensive ninjutsu in succession. If it weren't for the lack of time, he would have released a few more. Boom. At this moment, the water dragon hit the water array wall, and it didn't even last for a second before the water array wall was broken. However, the water dragon, which was originally more than 10 meters long, became much smaller at this time, about 10 meters. Boom. Then, without any hesitation, the water dragon once again fiercely hit the earth wall of the earth flow wall. Looking at the earth flow wall in front of him, Chen Tian curled his lips and muttered, "It doesn't even have a dog head, bad review." The next moment, with a bang, another him appeared in the same place, but this one looked a little sluggish. Chen Tian's real body quietly slipped into the woods beside him. Looking at the dust raised by the water dragon bomb hitting the earth flow wall, Chen Tian was sure that he would not be discovered by Kakuzu. After the water dragon bullet broke through the earth flow wall, it was only about 5 meters away. After encountering the earth flow wall, it knocked a small pit and then disappeared. Chen Tian, who was standing there, stared at the scene in front of him in a daze, as if wondering if Kakuzu was dead. The next moment, a black shadow appeared behind Chen Tian, and countless black lines pierced into his body. At the same time, Kakuzu's unpleasant voice sounded, "Ha ha ha, kid, although you are strong, you have too little experience." After the smoke dissipated, Kakuzu was still standing there, but one of the 4 masks on his body was missing. Before, when he saw the smoke, the Earth Attribute mask that had been used after the Earth Flow wall and the Earth Flow City wall was separated by him. He quietly controlled the Earth Attribute mask and used Earth Escape to come behind Chen Tian, which led to the current scene. But the next moment, something strange happened. Chen Tian, who was almost pierced into a sieve, suddenly turned into a ball of smoke and disappeared on the spot. Boom. The moment the smoke appeared, the ground under the Earth Attribute mask suddenly exploded, and thousands of detonating talismans continued. After the explosion, Kakuzu's Earth Attribute mask disappeared. "Ah, if you dare to destroy my heart, then use your heart to compensate me." Seeing that he was fooled, Kakuzu trembled with heartache. These hearts were selected by him one by one, and they were not comparable to those garbage. Tailed Beast Ball. But the next moment, his voice was no longer there, because in the forest behind him, a blood-red energy ball rushed over. The moment he saw this energy ball, Kakuzu was horrified. He has lived for almost 100 years, and this is not the first time he has seen this thing. Although it is not as big as the ones he saw before, this small ball of light is obviously the Tailed Beast Ball. Unfortunately, he didn't have time to make a seal at this moment. In a panic, the lightning attribute mask on his body fell quietly, turned into a lightning and disappeared. Boom. After doing all this, the Tailed Beast Ball had come in front of him and fell down fiercely. Like thunder in broad daylight, a loud noise spread, and a pit more than 10 meters wide and 3 or 4 meters deep appeared in the original place. In this uninhabited place, how long will it take for this pit to be discovered? More than 500 meters away from the explosion of the Tailed Beast Ball, a group of black lines slowly drilled out and slowly turned into the appearance of Kakuzu. After coming out, he lay on the ground weakly, panting, and said intermittently, "This kid is too scary. No wonder he is as valuable as the shadows of the 5 major ninja villages. He destroyed 4 of my hearts." While mumbling, his face still showed a look of fear, and he couldn't help but touch the position of the mask on his body. Unfortunately, there was no mask at this moment. "It seems that I have to replenish my heart as soon as possible. I will give up the bounty of this kid first, and see if there is a chance in the future." After determining his goal, Kakuzu went to a place where there were people. He wanted to find a suitable heart. While Kakuzu was afraid, Chen Tian, the instigator, had already left there and headed for the next city. He didn't think about whether he could kill Kakuzu. Kakuzu was a serious shadow level strongman, and he was just a jonin. If it weren't for the asymmetry of information, Chen Tian could only last 10 minutes at most in Kakuzu's hands. It was not easy to defeat Kakuzu this time. So after releasing the Tailed Beast Ball, Chen Tian left the spot without looking back. After all, he didn't know if this trick could cause trouble to Kakuzu. In the original work, Kakuzu had captured the tailed beasts. In fact, Kakuzu did have a way to avoid the Tailed Beast Ball, but he was so embarrassed because he underestimated Chen Tian. However, these things have nothing to do with Chen Tian for the time being. Anyway, Kakuzu will not catch up for a while. Humming a tune that no one can understand, Chen Tian took small steps towards the next town. Chapter 25 Reward of 100 million. On this journey, Chen Tian thought the most about who would offer a bounty for him. Among those who had a grudge against him, only Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo could offer a bounty of 100 million. I wonder who among them was the one, or if they did it together. He was not someone who was willing to suffer a loss, and he had to take revenge. Thinking of this, Chen Tian secretly made a decision in his heart. However, in just one day, Chen Tian arrived at a small town not far from the city. After finding a luxurious hot spring hotel and booking a room, Chen Tian was not in a hurry to take a hot spring bath, but turned and left the hot spring hotel. After stepping out of the door of the hot spring hotel, he looked around and saw a sushi restaurant. It happened that Chen Tian also felt a little hungry, so he went in to eat something. The food in the Naruto world is the same as the food in the small island country in the previous life. Although it is a little unpalatable, Chen Tian has no choice. After all, he is away from home now. If he is at home, the food made by Kushina is still good. While eating, Chen Tian found that he missed Kushina's cooking skills a little, even though he had only been away from home for a few days. After chewing his food slowly, Chen Tian threw down the money and left the sushi restaurant. He came to an empty alley and performed the transformation technique. His basic 3-body technique has reached the perfect level. Without the strength of the cage, there is no way to see through it. After the transformation, from the small puddle on the ground, Chen Tian looked at his face. That was exactly the same as the adult Uzumaki Naruto, and nodded with satisfaction. Although Naruto has not been born yet, he is his future nephew after all, so it is not bad to use him to trick him first. It is estimated that when he returns this time, Naruto will already appear in Kushina's stomach. Thinking of this, Chen Tian smiled. It seems that being the uncle of the protagonist feels pretty good. After leaving the alley, Chen Tian first went to the casino. After walking around in this crowded casino, he did not find any trace of Tsunade. Ask a few gamblers at random, and these people have no news of Tsunade. One of them even muttered, "If I knew the whereabouts of the big fat sheep, I would have gone to find her to make a fortune long ago. Why would I stay here?" After confirming that Tsunade was really not here, Chen Tian couldn't help but feel depressed. In the original work, Jiraiya took a week to find Tsunade, but now I have been out for 4 days and there is no news at all. It's simply unbearable. After leaving the casino, Chen Tian returned to the hot spring hotel, stripped naked and walked into the hot spring. But the first time he entered the hot spring, he saw a scene that made people jealous and red-eyed. Just opposite Chen Tian, a middle-aged man with a face full of flesh was also taking a hot spring bath. But behind him was a beautiful girl squatting, and the girl's delicate hands wandered back and forth on the middle-aged man's back, massaging him. I wanted to. Chen Tian's heart kept wailing, but looking at his little Loach who was only 6 years old, he could only give up this tempting idea. At the same time, he kept cursing the middle-aged man opposite him, such as he was a back mountain, he only had little Loach, etc. When Chen Tian finished washing and left the hot spring, the middle-aged man also left with him. Because of the previous experience, Chen Tian couldn't help but look at the middle-aged man a few more times, but this time he saw something interesting. When the middle-aged man was getting dressed, Chen Tian saw a forehead protector in his closet, and it was a forehead protector from the Sun Shadow Village. If these were normal, then the scratch on the forehead protector would be a bit interesting. This person is obviously a rebel ninja from the Sun Shadow Village. Thinking of this, Chen Tian kept an eye on it. He really wanted to find the gold exchange office to try to find out who was offering a reward for him. Unfortunately, although he had left Konoha several times, he had no idea where the gold exchange office was and couldn't find it at all. Since there were ready-made clues here, Chen Tian didn't mind asking in person. At the door of a toilet not far from where Chen Tian was, 2 men wearing rebel ninja forehead protectors pushed open the toilet door and went in. Pushing the wood in the compartment of the toilet, the 2 entered the gold exchange. This is the place Chen Tian wanted to find, but it was disguised as a toilet. If there is no acquaintance to lead, it is not easy for ordinary people to find it. Zoi, is there any big reward recently? As soon as they entered the door, the 2 people thought of the little girl at the counter and asked. Although the little girl was only about 17 or 18 years old, and there was no chakra fluctuation on her body, she was obviously an ordinary person. But these 2 ninjas who were at least chunin spoke very politely, without any bossy attitude. The little girl smiled at the two people, took out a bounty order, and put it on the bar, and said in a gentle voice, "A bounty of 100 million, isn't it big enough? Zohui, aren't you teasing us too? We are just Chunin, how can we be the opponent of the 5 major ninja village cage?" Before the words were finished, the two saw the photo on the bounty order. This was not a shadow from the 5 major ninja villages, but a child of 6 or 7 years old. Although they were a little confused, their eyes flashed at the same time. A full 100 million. With this sum, it would be enough for them to live a life of idleness and waiting for death in the future. In excitement, the two raised their voices a little and asked Xiaohu, "Is this really a child of 6 or 7 years old? This is a full 100 million. As soon as these words came out, the originally noisy gold exchange suddenly became quiet, and everyone's eyes were on the place where the two were. After discovering this situation, the two knew that it was not good. These people already knew everything, and the chances of them getting the bounty became much smaller. At this time, Xiaohu opened her mouth and replied, "Yes, according to our investigation, this child is indeed only 6 years old." This time, the gold exchange exploded. A 6-year-old child with a bounty of 100 million was too attractive to them. "Xiaohu, give me a bounty order. I want one too. Give me one too. This 100 million bounty is mine." "Bullshit, that's 100 million. I'm going to." Amidst the clamor, more than 20 people in the gold exchange left with a bounty in their hands. Looking at the bounty in their hands, they have already started to think about how to live a luxurious life in the second half of their lives. As for the danger, don't be ridiculous. He is just a 6-year-old child, at most a genin, and the kind of genin with no practical experience. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.